Intensity and star power. It's a day where champions emerge.
Arrowgate, what a commanding performance. He won the Travers by 12.
At a track where upsets rule.
Keen Ice has won the Travers over American Pharoah.
6 grade ones, highlighted by a 3-year-old division in search of a new leader. Will 2-year-old champion Good Magic step up in the absence of Triple Crown champion Justify and solidify his status as the one to beat? Or will a filly, who's already beat her male counterparts in 2 legs of the Canadian Triple Crown, follow in the footsteps of another great female star to shine at Saratoga?
Rachel Alexandra won!
Welcome to the Midsummer Derby. Welcome to Travers Day.
They're home at Saratoga.
It's Travers Day on Saratoga Live. Promises fulfilled. Ran lights out in his Amsterdam victory, a repeat performance, and he could be long gone in the Alan Jerkins. Champion 3-year-old filly Abel Tasman returns to the side of her coaching club American Oaks victory in a rematch that went down to the wire with Alabama winner Elate. And can the filly pull off the shocker against the boys in the Travers? Wonder Godet, winner of the first 2 legs of the Canadian Triple Crown, is ready to show off her superpowers. All that and much more coming up on this Travers Day edition of Saratoga Live. Great to have you with us. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. This is the day we all wait for here at the premier race meet in the country, whose colors will be painted on the canoe after the Travers happens later this afternoon. It was won by West Coast. Bob Baffert's won the last 2 runnings of the race. We know at least there will be somebody new coming up this year. It is a stacked field. We'll talk plenty about it. We're going to kick off all the Grade 1 action with the Alan Jerkins a little bit later on in race 6. Greg Wolf alongside one of the top trainers in the country in Tom Amos. And in that, Alan Jerkins, promises fulfilled. Ran so good here in the Amsterdam. Dale Roman said ever since the Woody Stevens, he's just become a different horse.
Yeah, he's a horse that was on the Triple Crown trail at one point. But when they've gone back to 1 turn with him, Greg, promises fulfilled, has been very, very good. Looked great winning the Amsterdam, laid off the very, very fast pace just a little bit. But he wants to be close, and I don't see much that can go with him. So it's a race that he can take over early. And when you take over a race early and can do what you want on the front end, you're saving energy for the end of the race. He's going to be a tough horse to run down.
That is coming up in race 6, the Grade 1 Alan Jerkins to kick off. 6 Grade 1s on the card. We're going to bring you 4 of them on the show. You can get signed up, started, play along, bet all the races we bring you each and every day on Saratoga Live by going to Naira Bets. $200 new member bonus. Use the promo code Saratoga Live and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. With more on today's action, we're going to check downstairs in the paddock with New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling and former New York Met and LA Dodger Paul LaDuca. Happy Travers Day, guys.
Thanks, Greg. Happy Travers Day to you and to everybody, actually. And it couldn't be a nicer day. All those bad weather days are all forgotten. Right? A beautiful day on Travers Day, most important day of the year. Tremendous racing today, one superstar after another. But I'm going to tell you, the personal ensign today, at least for me, there's no race I'm looking forward to more than that race. And the rematch with Abel Tasman as well as Elate. And Abel Tasman, I mean, I'll tell you, you know what to me strikes me about her? It's very rare to find a top horse that has repeatedly overcome mediocre trips to run big races. And that's exactly what she's done throughout her career.
Yeah, you know, listen, she is the filly of all fillies. And you can argue that her last race obviously was her best race to date. And maybe she's getting bigger and stronger at age 4 with Bob Baffert in her corner. It truly is a heavyweight bout like Ali and Frazier, especially the way they squared off the last time they were here.
Well, there's just nothing better than seeing the best horses in the country settling it on the racetrack, and we're seeing the 2 best older fillies or mares, and they're fillies with Unique Bella retired. Well, there's a lot more going on in today's show. Gabby Godet is at a very important barn, the Mark Casse barn, standing by.
That's right, Andy, and actually standing just outside the stall of Wonder Godot, who will be the only filly going postward today in the Grade 1 Run Happy Travers Stakes. And of course, she will try to make history, as she'll look to be the first filly to win the Travers in over 100 years. Her trainer, Mark Casse, saying there were several reasons why they opted for this race instead of the Alabama. It gave her one more week to kind of prepare herself going into the Travers. They love the 1.25 miles for her. She's going to be positionally placed. There's a lot of things to like about this filly, and she is calm, cool, and collected behind me. She's preparing herself for game day. But Greg, you kind of know who the best horses are in the barn by the proximity to the office, and she is one stall over from the office. So that just goes to show you the confidence and the talent that Mark Casse thinks he has with Wonder Godot.
She's been Wonder Woman, certainly, for that barn, and can't take this way, too. She's won at 1.25 miles. She gets a 5-pound weight break as well, which could mean something going that distance. That, of course, coming up later on this evening in the Travers. We take a look at race 4. Our first live action we're bringing you today, 1 1/16 on the inner turf. Maiden special weight, and right now digital footprint for trainer Chad Brown. Leading trainer at the meet, as the favorite for the leading owners as well, Klarovich Stables. We're going to check downstairs right now for a paddock report with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000. Hi, Maggie.
Thank you, Greg. And they also stand Kitten's Joy, who is the sire of the first horse we're talking about here. Actually, well, there's 2 first-time starters, but the one that's in the body of the race is Rock On Kitten here for Mike Maker, who, yes, has had a quiet meet, but one of his winners was actually a debut, a 2-year-old first-time starter. Now, this one here, I like solid, good size, comes in sharp, comes in fit, very well meant for this spot first time out. Obviously being a son of Kitten's Joy. Not much to speak of, though, in the first part of the pedigree, but the Grand Dam, Katinka, who is, albeit a multiple graded stakes winner on the dirt. So I think the Kitten's Joy influence, though, is enough for me to suggest this guy will be fine on this surface. Coming by way of Ellis Park is number 4, Salvatore Mundi. And we've seen Brian Hernandez start this Travers Day in style. 2 wins already on the card, and 1 for this trainer here in Ken McPeak. This is a gorgeous son of Artie Schiller. Wow, is he physically appealing to the eye here in the paddock? Just felt green as though in his first start. Didn't have much early speed. You have to think with the blinkers on, albeit just a short cup, he will be a little more in the mix, but he is really well conditioned here, and I love what I'm seeing from him. Now, number 8 is Americano, a horse that I actually liked a bit in the paddock when he debuted, but did no running. Now, the blinkers do go on, and he switches surfaces here. A son of Tisnow. The dam was a multiple stakes winner on turf and synthetic, and I like the surface change. He looks as though physically he is capable of this transition, has more of a turf hoof, has more of a physical frame for the turf too. And once again, just overall, I love what I'm seeing from him. Showing great energy to me, and I think this guy should move up here on this surface change for Bill Mott, as we'll throw it over to Andy here in the paddock set.
Thanks, Maggie. Always great to hear your thoughts, especially with these 2-year-olds. The 3 digital footprint, he's the horse to beat because his first race, he was best. He was caught wide. He covered over 46 more feet than the winner of that race and more feet than anybody else covered. Wide, slow pace, ran well to be second. Still, Paul, I question the overall quality of that field, and I feel like if there's a better quality horses in this race, and likely are, somebody or somebody's will beat him.
Yeah, it was a weird run race. They were so bunched up, and they went so slow. They almost went 117 for 6 furlongs, which is very slow. But he still managed to kick in, and horses did change positions. It was a really weird run.
Well, the winner wired the field.
Yeah, the winner wired the field. But my thing is like, he was the only one passing horses late, so I give him credit for that. But you're right. Does he move forward? It came back a slow run race. I don't know. Maybe it will turn out to be an okay race. But you're also projecting the other ones are going to move up. And you know this one's going to move up.
Todd Pletcher won that race, actually, and he has a runner in here, the 7 Social Paranoia we're looking at right now, who's the second choice. They tried to get him on the turf last time they were rained off. Is a half to 2 turf winners from 3 to try it. We'll see. If he moves forward in the turf, he could be very tough.
No, he could. And I think he's one of those horses usually you want to try to throw out. But But I think this horse fooled them a little bit first time out by running well in the dirt. They tried it again. It didn't work out. Then they tried to get on the turf. Didn't happen. I'm with you. I think the 7 will move up on the turf.
I'm very interested in the 5 Rock On Kit. And I want to say one thing about the first dam. She didn't win in the turf. She was 0 for 6. But she was trained by Nick Zito, and she actually ran very well up here in her first couple of starts in the turf. So even though she wasn't a turf winner, she actually handled it, unlike her second dam with Maggie alluded to, Katinka, a very expensive and very good horse for John Kim on the dirt. But as Maggie said, Kitten's Joy, I guessed with this one. In Mike Maker, I'm going to trust. It's a bit of a guess with a little pedigree.
Although his horses have been running better over the last week or so, and I think this horse might have tipped his hand maybe 4 starts. That's a pretty good work out of the gate, Andy. 47 chains for a Kitten's Joy on dirt. They don't really like dirt. So the 5, the money has shown up, not completely getting dismissed on the board. About 9, 10 to 1 is what your thoughts. So I'm not arguing with that pick at a $20 horse.
And on days like Travers Day, you're going to see bigger prices,
100%.
big fields, competitive
100%.
races. Moon Colony feels like one that could move forward in the turf, and that's the 9 Moon Colony for Mark Cassidy, who's very good switching his 2-year-olds to turf. I just feel like they're giving up on this one awfully quickly. He ran well enough behind Mucho, who may be the most impressive 2-year-old we've seen all year. I feel like they're going to turf too quickly, and that could be a negative, maybe not.
I don't know. That's a good question. You know, they got a bullet drill in the holster. Are they going to go to the front end? Julian Leperoux leads. Irad Ortiz Jr. leaves, and now Julian Leperoux's aboard. I don't know. Do they go to the front end? Confusing move. I think the 9's a play against, and they're showing it to you on the board.
There's a lot of guessing going on here, Greg.
That's what you get here. 2-year-olds lightly raced, and a lot of them here stretching out. Some trying the turf for the first time. Here's the races we're bringing you this afternoon. This 4th, of course, mile and a 16th in our turf. 5th race. Some older horses trying the turf at a mile and 3/16. Then we get into Grade 1 action with the Allen Jerkins with Promises Fulfilled. Firenze Fire both ran huge last start. That rematch of the Coaching Club American Oaks from last year in race 7 in the personal ensign with Abel Tasman and Elates. And then the Ballerina for fillies and mares going 7 furlongs. Bob Baffert sending out Marley's Freedom, and we saw Finley's Lucky Charm run huge here in the honorable miss. Weather and track conditions brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of the Saratoga Racecourse. Piranha on, pests gone. Main track fast. Turf condition listed as firm for today's action as we're 8 minutes to post here. The 4th coming up, and here is Sky Chief, who I actually like in this race. Shades coming off, showed speed last start, now stretches out for Mike Maker.
And Scott Chief looks really
couldn't
good.
Get 5.5.
Probably has some speed, and with the blinkers off, should get the distance.
Digital Footprint. I believe we'll see next here. And there is the 3, Javier Castellano for trainer Chad Brown.
Yeah, this horse came from way out of it last time to a slow pace to run a very good second and deserving favorite.
Salvatore Mundy, 8-1 on the board. Second time out comes in from Ellis for Kenny McPeak.
Feels like every year Ken McPeak brings in a horse from Ellis Park that ran slowly. They somehow take money in their second starts in the turf, and they usually don't run.
Kitten's Joy, first-timer that Maggie was talking about in the paddock report. Rock On Kitten for the Ramseys here with Luis Saez.
Yeah, Mike Maker, not bad at this first-time starters. 124 sample, about 11%. You're getting a good price here at 9-1.
Honey Won't. We backtrack to the 1 here for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott with Junior Alvarado.
Yeah, this one by Soul, that young sire, tried to get on the turf for the first time and actually got bet. So 17-1, maybe not a stab here.
40 unders at 22-1 on the board for Jeremiah Engelhardt. Manny Franco rides.
There's really very little pedigree to suggest this one will like the turf. Sort of a desperation Hail Mary after a poor debut.
He goes postword for Bill Parcells' August Dawn Farm. Here's the Savage Social Paranoia for the Elkstone Group, trained by Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, we'll see if this Son of Street Boss moves up on the grass and around 2 turns. Your clear second choice here.
Blinkers on Americano, another Bill Mott runner with Jose Ortiz.
A smidgen of turf pedigree for a horse trying the grass after a mediocre debut.
Moon Colony, the 9, Julian Leperoux for Mark Cassie, son of Uncle Mo.
Comes out of a live race, comes in with a bullet drill, and Mark Cassie 12% on this move.
And the 11 to round out the field here gets in the also eligible Ian Glass on a hard spun for Tom Morley with Irad Ortiz Jr.
Tom Morley with a giant win yesterday with La Moneda. And this horse gets Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard at 10-1.
Yeah, that was in the Yaddo, that win from La Moneda, who's now 4 for 4 on the turf in 2018. Huge performance. We're going to take a break in the action. Bob Baffert just got inducted the Saratoga Walk of Fame yesterday. He has a red jacket. When he comes to Saratoga with Mike Smith, it usually spells trouble for the rest of the field. They have Abel Tasman still to come.
Once again, among the world's leading sires of stakes horses and graded stakes horses, Warfront has sired 8 champions and 8 millionaires. Recent Grade 1 winners include European champion U.S. Navy Flag and Lancaster Bomber, plus an ever-growing list of 2018 graded stakes winners. In the sales ring, his yearlings continue to bring prices well over $1 million. International Super Sire Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live on Run Happy Travers Day. We'll talk plenty about the big race still to come a little bit later on in the show. We're going to bring you 4 Grade 1s on our program. You can get involved without risking any of your own money each and every day. Go to the Saratoga Showdown online contest, NYRA.com/showdown. Put in your selections. You're competing for real prizes like NYRA Bets points and a grand prize of tickets to next year's Belmont Stakes. Good luck. Of course, we'll take a look at that leaderboard towards the end of the show coming up. We're 2 minutes to post here in race 4, mile and a 16th over the inner turf. Maiden special weight, and it is still the Chad Brown second-time starter who got beat as the favorite back at the debut here opening weekend, who's favored at 3-2 on the board.
And it's supposed to be Digital Footprint, the 3 horses, our favorite. This horse came from off the pace on a slow-paced day. Should improve a great deal from that first or second start. But here's the wild card in the race. 7 of these 10 horses that are running have never been on the turf in an actual race. So you don't know what you're going to get from those 7 horses. You do know what you're going to get from the 3. That's why he's being bet down to 3-2 in this spot.
With more on this group, let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, Tom said it perfectly. There's a lot of guesswork to be done here. I'll offer what I can in regards to a few more of those horses trying the turf for the first time, including your second choice at 3-1 with number 7, Social Paranoia for Todd Pletcher. Now, he does have a massive turf hoof. I would not be surprised if this horse can handle the turf. And looking at him, though, while this is his 4th start of his career, I'm still not ultimately sold on the fact that he wants this far. Now, he could be at an advantage because he should have some early foot, and on this inner turf course, that can be dangerous. So we'll see. He's a deserved second choice, at least in my books, physically, as number 6 is 40 under, a horse that I liked a lot first time out. Did no running. Okay, fine. Jeremiah comes back with a breeze, 59-4 here over the main track. He said he liked what he saw in his latest breeze over the turf course. And I'll be honest here, guys, he does look more turf inclined. You know, he's bigger, he's a lot more angular, he has a bit of that hoof. And when horses have that monstrous, big, overstriding walk, it's usually that of a turf horse. We see a lot of European horses have that same kind of walk that 40 under does. He has a monster price right now at 24-1.
All right, long shot perhaps to consider here for Jeremiah Engelhardt. Had a good day on our show yesterday. He's been winning with a couple of impressive 2-year-old fillies at the meet, so we'll see if he can get it done with a son of Uncle Mo as we look at the favorite here for the meet's leading owners and the meet's leading trainer.
Yeah, and a rightful favorite, in my opinion, with Digital Footprint. We talked a lot about this one having the experience on the grass, finishing, closing against what was a slow pace that day. To me, the horse likely shows improvement today. You're going to have to step up to beat Digital Footprint.
6-5 on the board on the 3-horse here. No question the one to beat. As the horses making their way to the gate here, about to load up for this 4th race on the card as we look at Social Paranoia. So the turf debut here for the son of Street Boss for Todd Pletcher.
And there's some pedigree there for grass. And I also like the fact that there's a very good chance that Social Paranoia, the 7-horse, will be on or near the lead in this race. In a race that when horses are going from one surface to another, you don't know if they're going to show their same style. Some will like the grass and will actually enhance their style, but others won't really care for it. They want to hear their feet rattle, so to speak, that they've felt on the dirt. And if that happens, you could see a totally different style from a horse that you think is going to be in one position as opposed to another.
7 here getting a little help into the gate. You know, Paula Duca mentioned that the Belmont runner on the rail may be intriguing because she took some money first time out. They tried to get her on the grass, but the other Belmont runner, the 8 Americano, 15-1. There's some pedigree there.
There is indeed, more than a smidgen. I mean, her mom was a stakes winner on the grass and graded stakes placed on the grass as well. She's only the 2nd foal. I think you got to give her a little bit of credit for that. Obviously, they're trying something here. Blinkers go on. Americano, the 8-horse. If you're playing pedigree, you're getting good value.
We are just about set. 4th here from Saratoga on Run Happy Travers Day. Mile and a 16th here over the inner turf. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Ready for a start. They're off. And it is 40 under, bouncing out of there with Sky Chief from the inside. These two out for the lead with Social Paranoia, away running in 3rd. Honey Won't on the inside is 4th. Digital Footprint 5th early on, then Americano, followed by Ian Glass. And coming through an opening on the inside there as they make their way into that first turn is Salvatore Mundi. Ian Glass pushed wide into that turn, and near the back of the field too are Rock On Kitten and Moon Colony. So 23.33 was the opening quarter mile. Sky Chief, the pacemaker, 40 under, a length back on the outside, running in 2nd. Honey Won't is 3rd. Social Paranoia is 4th. Digital Footprint, the favorite, 5th, and 4.5 lengths off the lead. Then Americano on the outside of Salvatore Mundi. Break of another 2 lengths more, and they're followed by Rock On Kitten, Moon Colony to the outside, and a good way last is Ian Glass. 47.71 that half mile for front-running Sky Chief. A 32-1 long shot under Ricardo Santana Jr. Out here by a length and a half over 40 under, making their way into the far turn. Honey Won't tracks the top 2 in 3rd, 3 lengths off the lead. Social Paranoia comes under pressure. Salvatore Mundi is down on the inside. Javier Castellano pumping on Digital Footprint. He wants more run from him as they come toward the top of the stretch. Then Rock On Kitten. It is still Sky Chief. Sky Chief trying to get another furlong here at a big price. 40 under is 2nd. Honey Won't is 3rd. Social Paranoia is 4th. It is still Sky Chief. 40 under. In with a late shot, closing the gap on the outside, and 40 under goes by. 40 under pulls away in the end, and up for 2nd late was Social Paranoia. Sky Chief ended up 3rd, and 4th was Moon Colony.
Sky Chief trying to take this field every step of the way. In the end, 40 under, Manny Franco, Jeremiah Engelhardt getting the win.
Yeah, laid right off of Sky Chief. Down the backside, these 2 horses were running 1st and 2nd, and Ricardo Santana was doing everything he could to keep Sky Chief from getting past, or he's off the rail, making anybody that wants to come near him go even wider going into the turn. It still wasn't enough, as in the end, 40 under catches and draws away at the end. Looks really good doing it at the end of this race.
Oh, yeah, really, basically the speeds were holding on. A nice little late run from Social Paranoia, but the 640 under, I mean, sometimes they just surprise. Their pedigrees matter a lot, but not always, Paul.
Yeah, you make a good point, because I think the 2 speeds did hold here. Social Paranoia, who I was paying attention to, looked dead at the top of the lane. I don't know if these horses were really that good, or Social Paranoia just actually split these 2 long shots here. But hey, if you had 40 under in your pick 4s, in your early pick 5s, it's a nice horse to have.
20-1 long shot. Maggie Wolfendale was making the case for this runner. getting on the turf for the first time and getting by a horse who was 32-1. They're setting the pace early on. It is Bill Parcells' August Dawn Farm, 40 under, getting the win here in race 4. 6, 7, 2, 9, unofficially here in the 4th from Saratoga. A little bit of fireworks here to kick off our show at a big number. We'll be back with the prices from the 4th. Set up race 5 on Run Happy Travers Day right after this.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live, 40 under. Stretching out, getting on the turf for the first time for Jeremiah Engelhardt under Manny Franco. And into the winner's circle for August Dawn Farm. That's, of course, Bill Parcells, the 2-time Super Bowl champion winning coach for the New York Giants. $42 winner.
Look, one of the many horses that hadn't tried the grass yet, so that's where your value lied in trying one of those horses. But 40 under is not going to be a long shot next time. This horse drew off and ran a very nice race.
There's the coach. Loves coming to Saratoga. Has a place here. He's fallen in love with his sport. And he has some very nice runners that he's had over the years. And he said there's nothing like winning a race on Saratoga. And on Travers Day, that's going to be a little something extra special.
It's a special any day here at Saratoga, but a beautiful day here for Run Happy Travers Day. And the coach is pumped. But look, this guy's won some Super Bowls, so he's keeping it all inside.
Yes, he is. He's got a nice one here. Turf debut and a winning effort for Coach Parcells with 40 under. Lighten up the tote board at a massive number here as we move on to race 5. Mile 3/16 on the turf here. An allowance optional claiming field is for 3-year-olds and up. And this is a wide open betting race as the tote board shows you here. Red Knight for Hall of Famer Bill Mott. Trinity Farm with Junior Alvarado, current favorite, as we get another look there at Coach Parcells. Enjoying a little time there in the winner's circle here at Saratoga. Likes to go out and watch the workouts each and every morning as well. Of course, got the chance to talk to him at a recent dinner they had here, and he got to share some of his favorite memories of being in this game that he's enjoyed some great success in for so long, and some of his football memories as well. We're going to set the stage for the 5th here coming up in just a moment. Again, it is Bill Mott with the horse to beat, Red Knight. Of course, we've showed you this piece, some who've watched our show over the past couple of weeks. There can be arguments, there can be debates about who the greatest horse was of all time, greatest season of all time. The man you're about to meet says it is an open and shut case.
Sports is the national narcotic. And if some crazy vendor got on a national show and proved beyond any reasonable doubt there was nothing like this, I think it would have an effect.
Richard Aller wants to convince you and anyone who will listen that Dr. Fager's 1968 championship season is the greatest in the history of horse racing.
Okay.
And there goes Dr. Fager.
The fastest horse of all time, able to accelerate quarter-mile splits faster than any horse that ever raced. He could accelerate a quarter-mile split 7 lengths faster than Secretariat.
It's Dr. Fager in front by 3/4 of a
Breaking
length.
the 130-pound jinx with apparent ease, Dr. Fager, number 9, flew in on Thursday, raced Saturday, and left Sunday.
The only horse ever to be Horse of the Year, Handicap Horse of the Year, Sprinter of the Year, and Grass Horse of the Year.
But Dr. Fager coming on strongly. He goes now to the front by a head.
Beating 2 Horses of the Year, carrying to less than 130, as much as 139. Got faster as he carried more weight, defying the laws of physics. He could sprint, he could come home, he could come around horses. He did it all, but he didn't do it in the Triple Crown, so he'll never get his just due. Now, let's take a look at American Pharoah. You don't evaluate a horse on one race. You evaluate him on a series of races. So I began to root for him and evaluate him. And I didn't know quite what he was in 1968. And I began to get enraged at the distortions that were made. Let me historically define that. Dr. Fager ran in 1968. Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy were assassinated. Vietnam War protests. Hey, hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? Race riots all over the country. A riot at the Democratic National Convention. A protest at the Olympics in Mexico City. The most tumultuous year in 20th century history. And he was not on national television. Secretariat ran in 1973. The Triple Crown was on national television.
I'm Jack Whitaker, and welcome to the 105th running of the Belmont Stakes.
Horse racing was consumed by television. And so Secretariat became visibly a shrine. And then when I began to study everything and all the details, and I have a great deal of respect for Secretariat, I realized a terrible historical mistake had been made. Dr. Fager got tested every way imaginable. You only know how good a horse is when they're in a fist fight, head and head with a top horse. It didn't matter anywhere, any place, any time, any conditions, any weight, quality of competition. Dr. Fager's there every time. When the legend places the truth, print the legend. That's what my book is about.
After 3 decades of banging Dr. Fager's drum, Aller hasn't lost his bite when illustrating why Dr. Fager in 1968 ran a campaign like no other.
All you have to do is sit people down and show the facts. It's absolutely irrefutable. And by the way, I don't say that Dr. Fager was the greatest horse of all time. All I said was 1 season.
100 yards to come, and Dr. Fager is all by himself. 8, 9, Dr. Fager by about 10 lengths. Wow, this is a race. And ladies and gentlemen, may we draw your attention to the running time. The mile in 1:32 and 1, which is a new world record.
Well, for those of you that thought the feature was too short, and count me as one of them, we've got Richard Aller, the star of the show, on with us. Richard, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Dr. Fager a little bit here. Remarkable racehorse.
Very, very pointedly, the greatest season in the history of American sport. And I never thought that until 1998, when I interviewed a track and field coach named Tom Tellez from the University of Houston and UCLA, who coached Carl Lewis and other great stars. And I explained to him that Dr. Fager got faster as he carried more weight and was always being restrained by his trainer. And Tom Tellez quietly said, I know of no athlete in my 50 years in the sports arena who defies the laws of physics. The ultimate athletic freak ever. And he has not gotten his just due.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a horse running that was pretty good as well, or not running today, but a horse that's name is very prevalent at Saratoga here on Run Happy Travers Day, and that's Run Happy. And while obviously he didn't have the extensive campaign of a Dr. Fager, he showed some brilliance in a number of his races.
There are many similarities between Run Happy and Dr. Fager. They both were undefeated in sprints. They both did not use medication. They both won all over the country. Run Happy in Louisiana, Indiana, Kentucky, New York, and California. Fager in New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and California. Run Happy as a breeding horse is a tremendous potential horse. Although he had great speed, his breeding indicates that he will go long. There was once a very dominant breeding horse named Mr. Prospector, and he's in Run Happy's line 3 times. Also Northern Dancer. What makes Run Happy and Mr. Prospector have a similarity is both of them were sprinters, and yet Mr. Prospector's offspring all went long. And the breeding in Run Happy is traced back to Mr. Prospector and Northern Dancer. I think Run Happy, with the speed that he has, is a tremendous prospect.
Well, Mr. Prospector and Northern Dancer, 2 of the great sires really of all time, and we showed some of those stats and also races with Run Happy. I would argue as King's Bishop was somewhat of an overlooked race because it was the same day, of course, that American Pharoah ran here and he lost. And in my opinion, no 3-year-old ran a better race in this country this year, that year, than Run Happy did in the King's Bishop. That was an awesome performance. And in fact, the horse who finished a distant second to him is running in the Grade 1 Forego today, 3 years later. That's a remarkable achievement.
Remarkable. Total agreement.
And you look at his record in winning those big races, going to California Mile after the Breeders' Cup and the King's Bishop, a wonderful racehorse. Run Happy, Dr. Fager, Richard Aller. Richard, thanks so much for joining. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot. And I think we're actually heading back upstairs to Greg and Tom.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, Dr. Fager, it's hard to argue, son. He's made me a believer. That horse never carried less than 130 pounds that year, set a world record. We know this for the mile and broke an American record at 7 furlongs. He also, in a workout at Aqueduct, set a track record for 5 furlongs in between races one day, just working out.
I love that story, and I love how it used to be, where in handicap races, you actually handicap the best horse by putting significant weight on their back. We don't do that anymore. It's hard to get horses to want to come for races, so racing secretaries and racing associations, they don't put a lot of weight on the best horses, and therefore you don't have what we used to have back then. That was an iron horse, Dr. Fager.
Taking a look at the current favorite here in our 5th race. This is Red Knight for trainer Belmont. He's coming off a win. That was at 1.25 miles at Belmont on the turf back on July 7th.
Yeah, look, he's 2 noses away from being undefeated in 6 starts, all on the turf. And a lot of it has to do with the pace scenario. Now, okay, he hops out of the start at the start there, but he's a horse that's going to come from a little far back anyhow. Yes, it probably cost him this specific race, but they are walking here, as they've done in a couple of his defeats. If he can get any kind of legitimate pace, he's much the best in this spot.
And here's a look at them coming home. And of course, I had him on this day when he gets beat by a nose. I didn't have the next
So you're telling me
start.
the gray horse, bird's eye view, the 6 is going to get up and stay up in this spot? Is that what you're trying to say? And he does. But a good finish here. Again, hurt by what happened at the start. But Red Knight also hurt by the fact that he didn't get a lot of pace in front of him. Very, very talented turf horse you're looking at right there. Not the best one today, ran second the other day, excuse me.
That was his only defeat on turf. 4 for 5 lifetime. And with that troubled trip, the only time he has not crossed the wire first on the turf. And public right now, believing he will get the job done, although he's a modest favorite on the board at 3-1. It is time for a paddock report again, so we will check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Bayern for $15,000.
Thanks, Greg. And while Red Knight is one that is formidable in here, just want to touch on two horses coming back in off of layoffs. And one of them is the drop-dead gorgeous #1 in here, Tath Keefe, who is a horse that found a home last year on the turf, more so, well, than any of his dirt races here in the States for Kieran McLaughlin. Now, the problem is that while his last race back at Aqueduct in November was okay, before that, he had an inexcusable poor performance in which he was almost eased. Then he comes back with the fronts. Then he runs well, but then he's gone for a long time until now. Front advantage are still on here. While I like everything else about him, energy level, fitness levels is all where they want to be. Coming back going this distance is a tough thing to do. And like I said, those fronts do remain on. Now, one also coming back off of a layoff is #3, Macarios here for Nick Zito. And he's faced some nice horses in the past. And obviously he ran once this year, but I haven't seen him since last year, and boy, he's really filled out. He is a strapping, good-looking son of Giants Causeway, but the layoff concerns me a bit, again, for the distance that they have to return at. Because he is that bigger horse, he might need to race into fitness a little bit here. He is just a little bit on the stuffier, heavier side, where, you know, he should look a little bit more defined, and he just looks a little bit on the softer side. But I know that Andy and Gabby had some opinions about him, in which we'll check in with them a little bit later, as I'll throw it back up to you, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. Well, the post-parade coming up in just a little bit from this 5th here at Saratoga. Of course, still to come in the personal ensign, the rematch from last year's coaching club, American Oaks. A late Jose Ortiz got intimidated down on the inside by Mike Smith and Abel Tasman. Can they get revenge today?
Switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. Nice has won the Travers over American Fame. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a 1.5 lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live and an absolutely spectacular Travers Day here at Saratoga. Well, the Grade 1 action is going to start pretty soon. We've still got an excellent allowance race in the turf coming up at 1 mile and 3/16. Paul, I could use a lot of them. I feel like the inside six are all live. The one Tuthqueef on Travers Day last year took a brutal beat, trying to rally wide on a track that was very much favoring that turf inside runners and ran the best race. I know he's off a long layoff, but Kieran McLaughlin, his trainer, has excellent numbers with turf routers off of layoffs over 6 months.
Yeah, and he draws the one post today where he got dropped way back after a bad break. So does he use that early pace that got him that win at Belmont in July? I think he's a little bit closer to the pace today.
I agree. I think he's a horse that could be very forwardly placed in here. The number 2, Bird's Eye View, he's just a new horse this year, Paul. I mean, people probably didn't believe his Keeneland race where he was disqualified. He set a slow pace when he won 2 back, but last time he was in a very tough field on top of the pace that was solid, and he really arguably ran the best race.
Yeah, and Patterson's Cross did not disgrace himself at all. He was part of that disqualification the other day, and he has tactical speed. You're right. And Michael Dini sent out 5 horses so far this meet. They've all hit the board.
His horse has been running extremely well. That's a great point. The number 4, Red Knight, yes, he lost to Bird's Eye View 2 back, but he was best that day. I mean, he got badly left, and Bird's Eye View had the run of the race. I thought his next race, while he won, wasn't as good, but maybe he'll run his best race third off the layoff.
He's a bad trip and about 3 inches away from being undefeated. So it's tough to not knock a horse like this, basically.
I do not disagree. I thought this was a fascinating race. A lot going on, Greg.
And right now, it's time for our post-parade coming up here. So, well, the price keeps getting lower and lower now after the betting public was a little bit cool on Red Knight. Down to 5-2 on the 4 horses. Your top choice here on the board. I'm going to see Tuthqueef when we kick things off for Kieran McLaughlin. Here is Son of Tappet with Joel Rosario for Shadwell Stable.
Yeah, I would look for this Son of Tappet to be a little bit closer today. The worry is he's 1 for 12 now the last 2 years, so 6-1.
Bird's Eye View could bring some pace here. Luis Saez for Mike Dini.
Yeah, at very least, he should be forwardly placed in here, and he has been really run well in all of his starts in 2018. His last was his best yet.
5-1 on the board. The 3, Macarios, making just his second start of the year for trainer Nick Zito. Julian Leperoux rides.
You could argue this horse's best race was at this distance, breaking his maiden at Gulfstream Park. So maybe a live long shot here.
Let's face some of the best company in this field as well. Red Knight, the 4, the favorite for Bill Mott.
He's run well in all of his starts this year, and if he can run back to his race 2 back, I think. The only question is whether or not he wants more distance than 1 mile and 3/16, so he has one shorter.
Classic Covey at 5-1. Another Bill Mott runner with Irad Ortiz Jr.
You know, this is a tough horse to figure out. Sometimes he just runs around, and then he'll show a little bit of kick against weaker going to 1 mile 16. I wonder if 1 mile 3/8 is just a tad bit too long.
Mark it off as tactical ability. He was on the lead at 1 1/4 mile last start for Mike Maker. Manny Franco rides.
I don't like that his last start was his worst start lately. He ran worse than Bird's Eye View, but he's got back races good enough to win for sure.
He went up against a good one named Patterson Cross last out. Scholar Athlete, 9-1 on the board with Edgar Prado for Graham Motion.
Tactical speed for the son of Einstein. He's one of the ones in here that's in for a tag, 9-1.
Vigilante, Jose Ortiz aboard for Eddie Keneally off the claim.
He's a fringe player in this race and has some decent races. Eddie Keneally 0 for 9 with turf routers off the claim.
And Mr. Maybe at 15-1. It's David Cohen for John Toscano Jr.
Just a brutal beat for him last time, but this is a tougher field.
And on the outside, also at 15-1, St. Louis. It's Anthony Dutrow off the claim. Javier Castellano rides.
Another tough horse to figure out. But look at that one race from the way outside the 13 post going, what? 1 mile and 3/8 at Belmont. Pretty good race. A good third. So maybe another live long shot. This race is wide open.
Yeah, that was last summer. At 7-1, was able to pull that off. Get signed up, get started. $200 new member bonus when you use the promo code Saratoga Live. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. I'm going to check in with Gabby Gaudet, who has more on Macarios for trainer Nick Zito.
That's right, Greg, here hanging out in the paddock with Nick Zito. And Nick, talk a little bit about Macarios, because he was a horse as a 3-year-old that really went against some of the best 3-year-old turf horses in the country. What do you think of him in his 4-year-old season?
Well, I was looking for obviously something better, but we've had some interruptions. And then he was in Whitney Day, and we had to scratch him because it rained. And then They don't let you get on the turf, obviously, when it rains. So the workouts with this and that. But now he looks good. He looks like he's ready for this race. He liked the distance, and I hope he does well.
He's a big, burly-looking horse, a beautiful-looking horse. So, I mean, by that virtue alone, you think he'll improve with the distance from a mile last time out in April?
Oh, no question. I mean, that's what he wants to do. He wants to run a mile and a quarter, a mile and 5/8, a mile and 3/8, 3/16, whatever. He'll go with distance to ground, and he does look well. He's got good flesh, and his mind is good. I was happy the way he came over. So that's always a big thing.
And always a big thing, Traverse Day, that's for sure. Does this day kind of get you reminiscing back to Birdstown?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's, for me to be part of that was kind of one of the most memorable Travers in a long time. And everybody talks about it, and they remember how the sky was and how they canceled the last race and how they almost didn't race it, and they ran almost in the dark, and raining, and Mary Lou Whitney, obviously, and her husband John. So that was great, and that's what it's about. And the only thing is, we'll keep going, and who knows, maybe there's another home run somewhere. We can walk off that way. I hope so. But I like the fact that it is Traverse Day and it's special. Everybody's having a good time. Glad our friend Bill Parcells just won a race. That was good. So, no, it's great, and that's what you see in Traverse Day. Everybody comes out, and I think they come out to see you, Maggie.
Oh, thank you, Nick. Well, best of luck here coming up with Mercurius.
Always, thanks.
All right, it's crowded. The day is beautiful, and as you can hear Nick Zito reminiscing, it's quite a day here at Traverse.
When you think New York racing, certainly Nick Zito comes to mind. Couple of Kentucky Derbies to his credit. Couple of spoilers in the Triple Crown as well for that man.
He's won some big ones in his day. He's a member of the Hall of Fame, and rightfully so.
Well, this horse he's sending out here, that is a big price on the 3 Mercurios. So this horse has been in against some really good graded stakes company.
He's got to get back to that form to have any chance today, Greg. He's only had 1 start since September, and Nick mentioned they've had some setbacks with him. I'm more of a wait and see on the 3 horse in this spot.
There he is, Andy, as we send it downstairs, 15-1. What do you think? Could we see him step up here in his second start of the year?
Well, listen, he's a long shot that I used somewhat defensively, and I have an affinity for because he really did run some okay races with some trips against better horses last year. But Tom's point is also well taken. He's coming in against a tough field. He's got the 1 race back at Keeneland, and it's going to be hard for him to be able to run his best race. He's going to need to do it. Yeah. It's a tough field. I would not criticize somebody who took him at 14-1, Paul, and I think you would agree with that. But it's not going to be easy. But his price is somewhat commensurate.
No, and I was looking for a price here, and the 8 at 6-1. That's where I thought, he would be. I get the stat, but I also do look at the stat that Eddie Keneally, and Tom knows him very well being at Churchill Downs. This guy's a good trainer, 40% trainer on the turf, and I would think if this horse runs one of his races, he's right there at the wire at that price.
It's that kind of race. I mean, you have to love the race. You have to love the race at Saratoga. It's super competitive. Maggie Wolfendale has more as they head to the gate.
Thank you, Andy. And just want to comment quick on the warm-up that stood out the most to me. That's number 7, Scholar Athlete. Gets a little less ground to cover than what he has in his last couple, and I think that could only help him. His best races were at 1 1/8 and 1 3/16. Well, half a furlong more. We'll see if he can do it, but he does have that nice tactical speed, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. So Graham Motion sending out the 7, Scholar Athlete, 9-1 on the board. Of course, Graham with Spring Quality later today in the Grade 1 Sword Dancer coming off that Manhattan win.
Yeah, look, watch the 2 a little bit. That horse has been edgy the entire post parade. Bird's Eye View, our second choice in the betting here. Maybe makes the lead, but doesn't do it in a relaxed fashion. Looks a little edgy to me, warm up, and a little hot under the collar as well.
And as for the favorite, Red Knight, let's keep in mind, even though he is 4 for 5 on the turf, he just got up by a nose to get through his entry-level allowance condition. There he is stepping into the gate. Facing a lot of horses here, dropping down in class. Or I guess you should say he is stepping up to face runners who've been at this level. We'll see if he can keep moving right along through his conditions. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Last one to go in here, St. Louis takes up the outside stall. Goes in, and they're all in line. Trying to settle them down here. They're off. Good beginning by Mark It Off and Bird's Eye View. Toth Keefe on the inside. Scholar Athlete also prominent early. St. Louis going up on the far outside. And then comes Vigilante, followed by Red Knight, Macarios. 3 lengths to Classic Covey. Mr. Maybe the Gray is last, and some 12 lengths off of front-running Bird's Eye View, who takes the early lead and is pushed along in the early furlongs by Scholar Athlete in second. Toth Keefe is on the hedge, running in third position early on. St. Louis is fourth on the outside, and then comes Mark It Off after a 24.27 opening quarter mile. Red Knight saving ground on that turn, 4.5 lengths off the lead. Vigilante is next. Then Macarios, Classic Covey second last, and Mr. Maybe still 12 lengths behind at the rear of the field. Bird's Eye View on the front end here, on top of half a length through a 49.26 half mile. The pace is not all that fast here. Scholar Athlete is second. St. Louis is third on the outside. Toth Keefe fourth near the hedge, and they're followed by Mark It Off and Red Knight. Vigilante is still 6 lengths behind, tracked by Macarios, Classic Covey, and Mr. Maybe at the back of the pack as they make their way into the far turn. 3/4 in 1:12.97 seconds. Bird's Eye View's picked up the pace here. Scholar Athlete still alongside. Outside of them, St. Louis is third. Mark It Off splits horses in fourth. And Vigilante is getting going on the far outside. And then it's Toth Keefe. A wide run for Classic Covey, who's trying to kick it into. They're into the stretch. Bird's Eye View, Scholar Athlete, Mark It Off to the outside. Toth Keefe closing on through. At the hedge, it's Red Knight. Farther out, it's Mark It Off. Classic Covey on the far outside. Scholar Athlete, Red Knight coming up on the inside. From the back of the pack, Classic Covey. Here comes Classic Covey on the far outside. Here comes the wire, and it's Red Knight. Red Knight over Classic Covey, Scholar Athlete, and Mark It Off.
Red Knight does it again. 5 wins from 6 starts now on the turf for Hall of Famer Bill Mott.
An incredibly patient ride by Junior Alvarado. He's in a terrible spot at the 3/8 pole around the turn with nowhere to go. A wall of horses in front of him. He decides to bide his time along the rail. It opens up turning for home. He gets the seam inside and gets up.
Yeah, patience is a virtue is the exact phrase you want to use. You're right here. He got the split, especially when the Shadwell horse decided that he was done. And the 5 is absolutely rolling on the outside here. Classic Covey just runs out of time, but I don't know if he's ever going to go by Red Knight.
Well, Red Knight is a classic example of how important it can be to save ground, because this really was, as Tom said, a great ride by Junior Alvarado to get through on the inside and win this race. Obviously, Classic Covey was coming at the end and ran well. I think it should be a little love to the long shot Scholar Athlete, who Maggie liked, because that was the one horse that hung around after being on the pace, because this race ultimately collapsed.
Well, let's wait and see if this is a Bill Mott exacta in here. That's what he is waiting on, that 5 horse. The other Mott runner. Did he get by the 7 at the wire? It was really tight.
Really tight between all 3, but I think it's a Mott exacta.
I think it is too.
We will wait and make it official, but no doubt about the winner, and it is a Bill Mott exacta. He runs 1-2 in here. Red Knight, Classic Covey. Scholar Athlete has to settle for 3rd here, so 4, 5, 7, 6.
So check out what occurs as the race starts to get intense and people are starting to make their move. You're watching the 4, Red Knight, down on the rail, and look at Junior Alvarado on this horse. He's sitting back, hands perfectly still. He's got nowhere to go, and everybody else is making their move. He's in big trouble at this point. Got nothing he can do but hope and pray that something opens up. When he gets the seam turning for home, it is like he just saw a vision. I mean, it's like, thank you, God. And here he comes down the lane, gets his lane.
It just shows you about Chip, guys. If the Shadwell horse, the 1 horse, has any horse, Tom, he has nowhere to go. He has to go outside the 7 horse or inside the 7 horse, and it might be a completely different ballgame.
I agree with Paul. Even though the 2 horse, the horse in the lead, Bird's Eye View, drifted quite a bit, if Toth Keefe, the 1, my horse, who realized he was carrying me around, backed up to the field, if he had gone forward, I don't think he gets through. I think you're absolutely right.
He's done just about everything you could hope to accomplish in this career. The Hall of Famer Bill Mott with the exacta here in race number 5 with Red Knight and Classic Covey. We'll have the prices when we come back here on Saratoga Live. Stick with us. The Grade 1 Alan Jerkins still to come.
This graded stakes winner and multiple Grade 1 performer by Tapit has become one of the nation's leading sires of 2-year-olds. Ranked number 1 in his crop by number of winners, he sired 11 stakes horses in 2017, including graded stakes winners Wild Shot and Oklahoma Derby winner Untrapped. At the sales, his yearlings have sold up to $480,000. Trap Shot, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome to Saratoga Live on Run Happy Travers Day. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well-packed house at the premier race meet in the entire country. Beautiful weather on this Saturday Travers afternoon, and great to have you with us on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Greg Wolf, Tom Amos, Andy Serling, Paula Duca, Maggie Wolfadale, Gabby Gaudet, all with you, and we just had a Bill Mott Exacta. He ran 1-2 in race number 5. Winner, though, Red Knight, just holding off a fast closing Classic Covey.
Yeah, great race ride on Red Knight by Junior Alvarado. We talked a great deal about that. We didn't talk much about Classy Covey, who finished very strongly against a pace that, by today's standards of what the turf course is like, I think are pretty slow. Classy Covey came from much further back and actually made a big run at the end.
Red Knight now 5 wins from 6 starts on turf. Let's head downstairs to Gabby Gaudet.
Thank you, Greg. And here with winning conditioner Bill Mott. And Bill, wow, what a performance we saw here today from Red Knight. Actually, both of your runners today ran impressively. But talk about this trip and ride that Red Knight got today.
Well, it was great. I mean, he was on the inside. Actually, Red Knight didn't break as well as I thought he would. He kind of reared up a little bit just before the start, and he was backing up, and then they kicked the gate. So he got off a little bit slower than I anticipated that he would. So he was maybe 2 or 3 lengths further back in the pack, and he just had to tuck in along the rail. I mean, he really had, he might have had an opportunity to get to the outside down the backside, but he opted to stay in. And fortunately, when he, got into the stretch, it opened up and he found a seam to come through. And the horse was brave, the rider was brave, and the other horse, Classic Covey, ran really well as well. He came with a huge run at the end.
Both horses definitely improving, especially Red Knight. But later on today, obviously in the personal ensign, you do send out a late. What do you think of this matchup later today, battling against Abel Tasman once again?
2 very good fillies. I mean, they met on this same racetrack here last year, and they were ahead apart in kind of a controversial finish. I mean, there was a little bumping at the end, a little crowding, but hopefully we can turn it around today. I mean, they're both good fillies. I mean, it's a good group, and it should be a very interesting race. I mean, we're really excited about the way Elate is doing, and we were pleased with her first race. So, hopefully we can move forward from that race and maybe it'll move us into the winner's circle. We're going to try.
You're going to try. Well, congratulations on this win with a big day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Not only does he have a late, but also channel maker in the sword dancer later today, Greg.
Yeah, he's going to have a busy afternoon. Of course, would have had Hofberg. And the Travers horse spiked a bit of a fever, so he had to wait on Hofberg in that race. We're going to see him down the line. Could wind up going against older horses in the near future, but he still has a lot more work to do today. We get started with Grade 1 action coming up. The Alan Jerkins is next, presented by Run Happy. 7 furlongs and promises fulfilled. Dale Roman said this horse has just completely changed his demeanor. It's like all of a sudden he has become a man.
I'm actually surprised by the board a little bit. I thought Promises Fulfilled would be even a bigger favorite than the 5-2 we're seeing on the board. I mean, I understand action going towards Frenzy Fire, but Promises Fulfilled, it's his race to lose. He's going to set the pace. He's going to do it on his own accord. No one's going to go with him early. There's going to be a lot of energy left for that horse for the last eighth of a mile. He's going to be hard to run down.
Well, as we send it downstairs to Andy for just a moment, Promises Fulfilled, Frenzy Fire. Huge performance from both those two. We'll see what happens. But special guest standing by right now with Andy Serling.
Well, it's the Alan Jerkins presented by Run Happy. It's the Run Happy Travers. We've got to have Jim McInvale, Mattress Mac, joining us. Mac, it's so great to have you here today.
And
thanks so much.
Here, Andy. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for your support. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. I mean, our show, to get support from people like you and other people in the industry, Claiborne Farm and others as well, it means a lot to us.
Well, it's couldn't be a better venue for Run Happy, where he ran what I think is his best race ever right here at the famous Saratoga racetrack. We are thrilled and honored to have Run Happy all over the track today.
You know, I was just talking to you about Run Happy the day in the King's Bishop, and now, of course, it's the Alan Jerkins, presented by Run Happy. And it really was a jaw-dropping performance. Almost hard to believe. And we were looking at it, and we'll take a look at it here. When you watch the screen, there's a horse a distant second behind him named Limousine Liberal. 3 years later, he's one of the favorites in the Grade 1 Forgo. If that's not a legacy, I don't know what is.
That's right. Run Happy's now leaving his legacy at Claiborne Farms. He's done very well the first 2 years breeding and has some great foals on the ground. We're excited about that. And I'll be excited to bring a Run Happy foal up here and run at Saratoga soon.
Can't wait. And, of course, next year we'll be seeing him at the yearling sales as well.
Yeah.
And that'll be really exciting. Obviously, he was a tremendous horse. To do what he did, he wins the Phoenix at Keeneland. Unbelievable win in the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland as well, and then to go out and win the Malibu. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see a horse win those 3 races the way he did in this day.
Yeah, he won 6 races in a row, and he ran on no Lasix, no Butte. Just a wonderful horse, and my sister-in-law, Laura, did a great job of training him. Lots of controversy during his career, but he could run all day long. He loved to run.
The horses do not know controversy, and the good horses run through anything.
You're
you know,
right.
and he's in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm. You know, when I first went to Claiborne Farm, Easy Goer was in stall 1, and Easy Goer, one of my favorite horses of all time. And it's just great to see him out there, and he really was a remarkable racehorse, and obviously a horse that made you very proud.
Made me very proud, and some of the happiest moments of myself and my beloved daughter's life were Run Happy, and still are when we go to Claiborne to see him. So he's a great horse. He's going to have some great offspring, and I encourage all the breeders out there and all the fans to go see him at Claiborne Farms. He's right there every day, and he'd love to see all the fans.
Well, I'm hoping I can get out to Keeneland, Lexington, actually, in October, and I will definitely stop by Claiborne, one of my favorite places. Quickly, before we go, it's just a year ago. It's hard to believe the flood in Houston, and obviously very involved in that. Can you talk about your efforts in the flood a little bit and how things are going, still recovering a bit?
Yeah, you know, we had about 500 people stay at both furniture stores for several days after the flood. Now, a year later, we're about 60% back. 40% of people still aren't back in their homes. Lack of skilled tradespeople and, you know, insurance problems. But Houston's getting back on its feet. Texans are resilient. And we thank all the wonderful New Yorkers, people from across the country that have given us help over the past year. So we're not there yet, but we're getting better. And we hope to establish Houston as a city, have a bond package we're trying to pass today to eliminate the flooding. So like Run Happy, we hope to be around in first place for a long time.
Well, it's one thing to help us. It's another thing to help people like that in need during an emergency, and that's the things that really matter. So
that's the way I was brought up.
And for all of us.
Let me tell one other thing. The facilities up here at Saratoga are spectacular. Congrats to Naira and everybody for doing such a great job and continuing to improve this magnificent place.
Well, we appreciate you saying that. I know you took a trip down the stretch. I'm glad to see you got to see our new great area, Mattress Mac.
And we've got Run Happy drink holders today.
Oh, I'm going to have about 20 of these in my apartment afterwards. It'll take me a few days to get them all
sir.
home. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Great
Andy.
to
Nice
see you,
to
Mac.
see you.
All right.
Thanks for having me on. You do a great job,
Well,
by the
thanks.
way.
We appreciate it a lot, and we appreciate what you do for us. There's still a lot more to come on Saratoga Live. Grade 1 action will be kicking off the Alan Jerkins Run Happy.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. It is the premier day of the meet here at this historic racetrack, Run Happy Travers Day. And we're getting started with Grade 1 action, 6 on the card this afternoon. We're going to bring you 4 here on the show, starting with the Alan Jerkins at 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds and promises fulfilled. There he is. He looks beautiful in the paddock. This is a horse who sold for $37,000, Tom, at the Keeneland September yearling sale. He has since made almost $500,000.
The Keeneland September sale has so many horses go through the ring that some fall through the cracks. There are bargains to be had at that sale every year. You're looking at one of them right there in Promises Fulfilled, who just won the Grade 3 Amsterdam here at Saratoga. And he did it going quick on the front end with company and being able to sustain that and finish up.
Time for a paddock report. We're going to go to Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing curling for $150,000.
Well, Greg, coming in off the back of that huge win in the Amsterdam is Promises Fulfilled here. A horse who sometimes in previous efforts has gotten incredibly washed out, hasn't carried his weight well, and once again today, like last time, he is cool as a cucumber. He looks great here. So anybody worried about the proverbial bounce, at least I can't point out where it might happen here in the paddock. He looks great as your likely favorite. Moving on to number 7, still having fun. Well, he got the best of Promises Fulfilled last time out in the Woody Stevens. This guy, a Maryland-bred 4-trainer Tim Keefe, ran them all down late. Don't love what I've seen from the dirt races over the past few days for his chances, but here in the paddock, actually looks as though he may have put on a little bit more weight, muscle mass, and 2, he's one that really gets himself kind of puffed up once he gets his tack on. I will say, though, a little bit on the warm side relative to what I had seen from him in his start back at Belmont. Number 5 is 7 Trumpets, turning back here, and that is perfect. This guy is smaller, he's stout, he's built more like a sprinter. This is the other Dale Romans horse here in this Alan Jerkins, presented by Run Happy, guys.
Maggie, thank you very much. 7 Trumpets, the other Dale Roman's horse in the race. A little insurance policy here at 15-1, but it is Promises Fulfilled, who is the 2-1 choice in the board for the Romans barn. More in the race, including the post spread coming up in a moment. Now for the introduction of God Bless America. Let's go to track announcer Larry Colmus.
Ladies and gentlemen here at Saratoga, will you please rise at this time and direct your attention to the winner's circle for the singing of God Bless America, performed today by Master Sergeant Mary K. Messenger of the West Point Band.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Incredible performance there on our big day as we get set for our first Grade 1 coming up in the Allen Jerkins. We'll get a look at his field here in just a moment. As you get a look right there at Irad Ortiz Jr., we talk about Promises Fulfilled and what a huge race he ran, Tom. Firenze Fire in the Dwyer absolutely ran lights out. Jason Service said he had been dying to cut this horse back in distance.
Well, and he was exactly right. Special race performance that day by Frenzy Fire. Sit back, let the pace do their thing. Turning for home, got clear, and kicked home big. What happens today with Frenzy Fire is a little different because with Promises Fulfilled in here, he's got to keep him in his sights. Takes him out of his game a little bit as he stays close down the backside. He can't afford to sit back as he did in the Dwyer a couple back.
Pick 6 begins here, 326,000 plus in the pool and growing as we send it downstairs to Andy Serling and Paula Duca.
Well, this is a highly anticipated matchup in the Allen Jerkins presented by Run Happy. The speed of Promises Fulfilled and Firenze Fire. Firenze Fire has been terrific. He's got a Grade 1 win in the Champaign, a one-turn mile. His race last time in the Dwyer, tremendous as well in a mile. Though can he cut back the furlong and be effective running down a horse like Promises Fulfilled?
Yeah, that's the question that needs to be answered, right? I mean, he circled his field like they were all tied to a post. I actually like the way Seven Trumpets sort of finished, even though he was in his wake that day. But yeah, let's be honest, this is the horse to beat, and Jason Service has been the trainer to beat for the last 2 months.
Well, I'm going to say the Rail is the horse to beat, Promises Fulfilled, but he is a major player in this race because of his closing style, and Maggie hinted at it. The racetrack has been kind the last couple of days, at least kind, but it might be circumstantial a bit to speed, and the speed of Promises Fulfilled. I mean, the question is, Paul, assuming he breaks, and you have to assume they're all going to break, who can possibly run with him, and are they going to be able to run him down? I don't see it. Not if he runs his last race.
Well, I guess, okay, if you're playing devil's advocate here, you have the 6-year Gadoo. Maybe that horse can go with him. Maybe the 2 Telekinesis. But that horse is cutting back from a 1.25 Queen's Plate race. But
Gadoo, it seems like there's a chance that Gadoo could run with him. I cannot disagree with that.
Telekinesis has been more of a morning horse that a lot of people are talking about is very quick in the morning. But you're right. If nobody goes with Promises Fulfilled early, just like his sire, Shackelford, left alone, he becomes very, very dangerous.
He's an extremely dangerous horse, Promises Fulfilled. And I'll tell you something, I think there's a chance that Promises Fulfilled is one of the best sprinters in the country, not just against 3-year-olds. We're going to settle it on the racetrack, and it's 7 furlongs, not the 6 furlongs, of course, of the Breeders' Cup distance as we head back to the roof.
Well, Dale Romans, trainer of Promises Fulfilled, and of course the 5-7 Trumpet, said after that win with Amsterdam, he said, I was having the blues for about a week or two, hadn't won a race in about a month, but he says all you need to do is win at Saratoga, and life all of a sudden is good again.
Yeah, that's the trainer's life. It's day to day, and you're only as good as your last race. And you carry it with you. Every morning, whatever you did the day before, you have it in your mind, and what you do that day, you're just resetting constantly as you run.
Here comes our post-parade. Here is Promises Fulfilled. Half-brother by Tiz Now will be selling at the Keeneland September yearling sale. Luis Saez aboard.
A lot of people think he's going to bounce, which means he's going to go backwards from his last start. He might be go backwards and still be able to win this race. Is your favorite?
Telekinesis, trained by Mark Cassie. Javier Castellano rides. He has a full brother by Ghost Tapper, who will be selling at the Keeneland September yearling sale.
In my opinion, the only horse that can possibly upset the two favorites in this race. I like the surface change, and I like him cutting back in distance. He's a good one, but he has to improve.
Here's Engage for Chad Brown. He'll have a half-sister by Will Take Charge selling at the Keeneland September yearling sale.
Yeah, he was second in the Amsterdam. This colt by Into Mischief has done nothing wrong, been in the exact in all 7 starts.
Give me a minute. Big long shot here for Dallas Stewart, who had a winner earlier on today's card. Julian Leperoux rides.
Thrilled to see Dallas Stewart get his first winner meet in the first race. This would be one of the biggest upsets since Jim Dandy beat Gallant Fox.
The other Dale Roman's runner, 7 Trumpets, is a 2016 Keeneland September yearling graduate. Robbie Alvarado rides.
Okay, give me a minute, and let me tell you why I like this horse. 1 turn mile in the Jerome was only a half a length behind Promises Fulfilled. That was a while ago.
Using the name of the 4 to tell us why you like the 5. I love Paula Duca's logic. Giju, Todd Pletcher trainee with John Velasquez aboard.
Great move by the Connections, taking a shot on the dirt in a grade 1. If you're going to see if your horse can do it in a big race. I doubt it happens, but I like the move.
Still having fun. 5-1 on the board here for trainer Tim Keefe. Joel Rosario rides.
This horse runs his races upside down. He was dead last, almost dead last in the Woody Stevenson. He exploded home to get the grade 2 win last time.
Beat Engage and Promises Fulfilled in that race. Here is Firenze Fire. He absolutely freaked in the Dwyer with a lights-out performance for Jason Service.
When judging him, you only want to look at his one-turn races, and if he can run back to his performance in the Dwyer, he is the only horse on paper that can beat the favorite Promises Fulfilled.
And Funny Duck, massive long shot on the outside, a 2016 Keeneland September yearling graduate for Rusty Arnold.
Well, the best race this colt by Distorted Humor ever ran was a 1-turn race, winning the Pate Mile at a little bit under 40-1.
Pick 6 starts here. Of course, the Naira Bets late pick 5 begins in the next race, the Personal Ensign. If you're the only winning ticket today, no matter how much is in the pool, minimum of $1 million in your account. So that Naira Bets late pick 5 beginning in race 7, a must play today. Get signed up and started. To hit that bonus, you must play through Naira Bets. Use that promo code Saratoga Live to take advantage. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. As we take a look here at the one to beat in the Alan Jerkin. So here's Promises Fulfilled. What's the why do so many people think, wow, he ran so big here? As a trainer, how do you keep a horse from this going backwards off that type of performance, Tom?
So he's had good time between races. He ran on July the 28th, but I'm looking at him on the track, and a horse that usually runs a big race oftentimes lacks a little energy, lacks a little fluidness and stride, but he's none of that. He looks very, very good, very, very fluid in how he's moving, full of energy. I'm not seeing anything that suggests he's going to regress from that last race.
And Tom, let me ask you a question. Good horses. The good horses don't bounce. I'm not a big bounce guy myself. Many people will disagree with me. But I always felt what separated the really good ones from just the average good horses were that they run their race pretty much every time.
I'm not going to go that far. I mean, we're going to disagree on this, but a perfect example is our favorite in the Travers, in the Run Happy Travers today. Good Magic. Ran a huge race in the Derby. Had to come back in 2 weeks in the Preakness. I think he bounced that day.
See, I don't agree. I actually think he ran as well, if not better, in the Preakness because he was forced to chase inside. I don't think he went backwards at all.
Your opinion. What can I tell you?
Well, horses, look, some horses can run just like humans. You can run and do something great, and then it takes a little bit of zap out of you next time out. I mean, isn't it just that human nature?
Yeah, and particularly if you're coming back quick. But look, in the case of Promises Fulfilled, and that's the horse we're talking about here, our favorite, the one horse, on the racetrack, he looks really good to me. I always like hearing what Maggie has to say about the horses. Maybe we'll get to her in a little bit.
And plus, you say, well, great horses, he says, don't bound. We don't know if he's a great horse yet. We're going to see. He's been very good. He put in a great performance in the Amsterdam last time out, but we're going to see if he steps up and if he can follow it up with that kind of performance and starts becoming a great horse.
I did not call him a great horse, nor would I ever call any horse a great horse off one race. It was a great performance.
No, that's what I'm saying. I didn't say you did, but yeah, you're saying great horses, so we'll wait and see if he's on his way to becoming that. That's what part of we're going to find out here in the Grade 1 Alan Jerkins. He is the 8-5 favorite on the board, but there is Firenze Fire. He ran just lights out last time out at 3-1 when he beat Mendelssohn and 7 trumpets. Let's go to Gabby Gaudette for more.
Thank you very much, Greg. And we'll check in with a horse that's making a surface change right now, and that's the number 6, Guido, for trainer Todd Pletcher. I did get the chance to speak to him and ask him what the reasoning behind this was, and he did say, look, they tried to stretch him out on the turf, and he just came up to be a little bit too rank, so that option's out. Now they're trying the dirt with him because what other options do they really have moving forward? It opens up the door to possibilities if you have a dirt sprinter versus just a turf sprinter. So he did say this is an experiment. It's a very tough spot to experiment, but he is one who can be very rank and very forwardly placed. So he's a horse that could potentially, I don't think he's fast enough, definitely not to go with a horse like Promises Fulfilled, but he will be probably forwardly placed. Now another horse to the inside, the number 2, Telekinesis, for trainer Mark Casse. This is a horse who Mark really highly regarded even as a 2-year-old. He thought it was one of his best horses in his barn. And I talked to Mark. He did say that, look, maybe he's just been running him at the wrong distance. He thinks that he's so talented, and he thinks that he is, quote, a superstar. So we'll see if he can finally show up today on the turn back in distance as we check in with Maggie for more on the field.
Thanks, Gabby. I want to touch on the horse that is making his dirt debut here in this H. Allen Jerkins. That is number 6 in here, Guido. And look, when you look at horses and how they move, a lot of times turf horses have that extra bounce, that more floaty stride, no matter what surface they're on. Guido has that. He doesn't move like a dirt horse. When you look at him I watch him go by, then I watch Firenze Fire go by. It's a completely different movement. So I'll be rooting for the connections, like Andy said, because it's an ambitious spot and you got to give people credit for doing so. But I think this race is boiling down to the 2 favorites in here, and I was won over by Firenze Fire out here on the track, guys. I don't mind the 7/8s for him. I think it's ideal. He moved up beautifully beneath his regular rider, Irad Ortiz. Now, in regards to Promises Fulfilled, remember I said he's kind of like his daddy. He sometimes has the propensity to get a little bit keyed up here, and he hasn't done that once again. Saratoga here, Greg, seems to be agreeing with Promises Fulfilled.
Well, there's his main challenger, but good news if you're Dale Romans with the 3-2 favorite. That horse right there is going to be trying to run him down late. And his Dwyer, if he can repeat that, is going to be a fun finish to the wire.
It is. I'm going to pay close attention to where those horses are placed after the opening quarter of a mile. Promises Fulfilled, I think, will be on the lead. Where is the 8, Firenze Fire, going to be in relation to him, and how fast is that opening quarter going to be? I see a sub-22 opening quarter, and I see Promises Fulfilled on his own out on the front end. That's going to make him very difficult to run down, not only by the 8, Firenze Fire, but by any horse in this field.
Well, as you look at Firenze Fire there again, coming into that day in the Dwyer, Jason Service had won with 7 of his last 10 starters. Coming into that day, he won another stakes race that day at Parks. Of course, he won the Dwyer that day as well. And in addition to cutting this horse back, he also said the freshening, he ran in the Kentucky Derby, hadn't run since then. The freshening did that horse a world of wonder.
That's strong information, Mr. Wolf. Thank you.
So 3-1. We'll see how he fares off that lights-out effort. He is the second choice on the board. 7-5 favorite, though. Promises Fulfilled. He sat just off of the lightning quick strike power in that Amsterdam win, and then he took off like a rocket ship in the stretch. He should have the lead all to himself this afternoon. It is the Grade 1 Allen Jerkins. Promises Fulfilled from the rail, the 1. The 8, Firenze Fire. Can they repeat what they did last start? Let's go to Larry Colmus for the call.
They're all in line. They're off in the Allen Jerkins. Promises Fulfilled comes out quickly from the inside. Guido has some early speed too. Engage, Give Me a Minute, and Firenze Fire right in behind them. Then it's Telekinesis coming through an opening on the inside, followed by 7 Trumpets and Still Having Fun. Funny Duck is last as Promises Fulfilled gets some early heat here from Guido on the outside. Together they run the opening quarter mile in 22.66 seconds. Engage is third. Telekinesis fourth and down on the inside. Give Me a Minute is fifth. Firenze Fire outside of horses running in sixth. 4 from the front with a half mile to go. Then it's 7 Trumpets on the inside, followed by Still Having Fun, and Funny Duck is well behind. Promises Fulfilled rocketing around the far turn in front by a length. The half was 44.34 seconds. A demanding second quarter there. And Gage is on the move and moving up on the outside of Promises Fulfilled at the top of the stretch. Cutting the corner is Seven Trumpets into contention too. And on the far outside, it's Firenze Fire. Promises Fulfilled taken on by Engage. Seven Trumpets is down on the inside. Firenze Fire is closing in, and so too still having fun on the far outside. But Promises Fulfilled is still there close to home. Promises Fulfilled is going to win the Allen Jerkins by a length and a half. Seven Trumpets was second, Firenze Fire was third, and Engage was fourth.
1:21 the final time, and Promises Fulfilled backs up as Amsterdam with a Grade 1 win as you take a look at trainer Dale Romans.
That was one clever ride by Promises Fulfilled. Look, he didn't have much separation after the opening quarter mile in this race, but if you watch Sire as they go into the turn, he's going to start moving those hands. He's moving them now. He wants separation after the opening quarter of a mile, and it shows in the splits. Look, a pedestrian 22-3 for the opening quarter, but 44-2 for the half, and he hasn't separated from this group. So what can he possibly have left? This is heart and desire that gets him home.
I agree, Tom. I mean, I thought he was in trouble top of the stretch. That was a very slow first quarter, turned into a 5-furlong sprint, and he sprinted that second quarter of the turn. And how about the big man, Dale Romans? He didn't just win with Promises Fulfilled. Paul, he got your long shot home for second, Seven Trumpets.
That was the biggest joke of a long shot ever at 32-1. If you look back at this horse's two one-turn races in the Jerome, horse ran a giant race against Firenze Fire, but he just could not get to Promises Fulfilled, who just did all the early running. And you're right, Dale Romans has got to be ecstatic because Seven Trumpets ran giant.
And I'm going to back it up. Paul didn't just say in the show after the race Seven Trumpets was too big a price. He liked Seven Trumpets, believe me.
There is Dale Romans getting congratulations all around. He was confident with his horse coming into the Amsterdam. He said this horse has completely changed, and he is on his way to becoming a star. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, guys. And here with Luis Saez and Promises Fulfilled here. He's got these funny ears we were just talking about. He looks like a Doberman, Louis, but boy, they were back and they were flying when you came out of the gate.
Yeah, he breaks so sharp from the gate. You know, I know he wasn't installed last time he ran so big. And, well, he did the job, you know.
And, Louis, I mean, this is a horse. You got a little breather, though, in the first quarter, but everybody tried to take you on and talk about his determination at the wire.
Yes, they put me pressure on early, you know, and when he came to the stretch, I just was waiting for he switch the lead. So when I think was the moment we did, and he did it, so, man, he take off.
Was there any worry about you coming off the blowout performance that he had last time out, coming into this one? I mean, it looked as though physically he handles himself very well.
Yeah, he was perfect. You know, last time he ran pretty big, but today he proved he's a champion.
I like that, Louis. Congratulations. You've been confident in this horse from the start as well. Good job.
Thank you so much, Maggie.
All right, guys, Promises Fulfilled. He looks as though he is asserting himself at the top of this 3-year-old sprint division.
Yes, he is. That was a big-time performance. Engage came right up to him, and then he just put that horse away.
I would love to know what Saez was thinking when he got to the 3/8 pole, because he actually called upon this horse going the turn and said, I want some separation from this group. He really didn't get much, although he went very, very fast that next 1/8 mile.
Promises Fulfilled, living up to his potential as a sprinter after he competed in the Kentucky Derby earlier this year. We're going to take a break in the action. Big-time effort from the son of Shackelford and our first of 6 Grade 1s here on Run Happy Travers Day.
Turning for home in front. Host of New York on the outside. California Chrome is third. Shared Belief laboring back to in fifth. 1 furlong to run. Bayern, host of New York. California Chrome on the outside. The 3 of them come to the wire. Bayern, host of New York. California Chrome. Here's the finish. Bayern, holds
on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Premier day of this race meet. Run a happy Travers Day. And up next, the personal ensign. There is the reigning champion 3-year-old filly, now back in her 4-year-old season. 5-time Grade 1 winner Abel Tasman won the Coaching Club American Oaks last year, and Mike Smith and Abel Tasman gave young Jose Ortiz on a late in education and intimidation in that race.
It did indeed. A lot of people thought that should have come down that day. To me, that was really, really good, solid race riding. I know Andy disagrees. We talked about it quite a bit. But if these two horses bring their A game today, we're talking about the one Abel Tasman and the 608, you're looking at a fist fight down the lane.
Promises Fulfilled wins the Allen Jerkins. Let's send it downstairs to Gabby Gaudette.
Winning trainer Dale Roman's not finishing only first, but first and second here in the Grade 1. But Dale, talk about this performance by Promises Fulfilled. He just kept on getting faster as the race progressed.
Yeah, he's a special horse. He's one of those that you just go. I mean, went at 44 today. Usually that's fast, but last two races have been at 43 and change. And he just keeps on going. They put pressure on him second quarter, and he just keeps going. He's a very special horse, and I was very proud of Seven Trumpets too. He ran a big race.
Did you have any kind of anxious moments as the cavalry was trying to go get him at the quarter pole?
I was pretty anxious till he hit the wire. Now, once he got to the lead, I was a lot more relaxed. I didn't think anybody would be able to. They'd have to put on a heck of a performance to stay with him because they worked hard to get there too. And, you know, I thought turning for home, there wasn't anybody going to get by him. And Alan was one of my very good friends. And it's a special, special win. I think I might have had a little divine intervention to run 1-2, but everybody knows what a great horse trainer Alan was, but he was a better person.
Absolutely. I think we can all definitely agree on that. But Dale, just with Promises Fulfilled, I mean, he was coming back. We watched him walk into the winner's circle. His ears were pricked. It didn't seem like anything phased for him. What do you think we're going to see from him in the second half of the year?
I don't know. We got to figure it out. He's not nominated for the Breeders' Cup, but I think he paid his way in on a supplement if we want to go, so we'll have to figure out how to get there. It'll be one race between now and Churchill. I'll get with Bob and we'll figure it out. But tonight we're just going to celebrate this win.
All right, I might join you. Congratulations.
You come join me. We'll have fun. Thanks.
All right, I definitely know that. Congratulations to Dale and obviously longtime owner Bob Barron with Promises Fulfilled.
That was a star-making performance, and again, not just the victory. 32-1 shot running second to complete the Dale Romans Exacta as well. 7 Trumpets for West Point Thoroughbreds. Frenzy Fire, who would run that huge performance in the Dwyer, runs third.
And a great race by Promises Fulfilled. Didn't Dale just invite the whole crew to go party with him tonight?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, look.
Open
Bill's
invitation.
on him. Yeah, right. I'm in.
We will see you tonight, Dale. What a performance by Promises Fulfilled. He said going into this race, I'm expecting bigger and better things out of this son of Shackelford, and we certainly got that today. This was the 1988 Whitney Handicap. Personal ensign was last early. The first 5 furlongs over a sloppy track that was favoring front runners in just a 3-horse field, winds up getting the victory. The last filly to win the first 10 starts of her career was Ruffian. The last filly to win the Whitney was Lady's Secret. She accomplished both those feats to earn a place in history, and it brought the crowd to their feet back in 1988. Personal ensign, incredible performance. Race named in her honor is coming up next. And the champion 3-year-old filly, Abel Tasman. Great rematch here with Elate. Went head-to-head in that race last year. And Abel Tasman survived that steward's inquiry, and that victory upheld. She is 3-5 on the board right now, Tom.
I'm a little surprised by that. I thought there'd be a little closer betting between the 1 and the 6 here. Abel Tasman, your heavy favorite. And you know what? I need her, because when it comes to my Pick 5 ticket, it's hard to single in any of these races, but I'm going to do it in this first leg. So it's go big or go home after the first race. I like Abel Tasman to take this field. And after that, boy, it's hard to narrow down these groups. There are just so many good horses in each of these races. But there you go. I'm 3 deep after that.
If you play this Naira Bets late Pick 5, our pool of $237,000 and growing. If you're the only winning ticket, say no more money goes in the pool. It stays at $237,000. You're the only winning ticket. You're guaranteed $1 million in your account. Must play today. You got to play it through Naira Bet, so get signed up and started. Paul LaDuca, how are you going to play this Naira Bet's late pick 5?
Well, I thought this race, obviously, 2-horse race. We all think that, too. The 4 is getting played here, Wildcat, right into these 2 horses. But I'm going to go 1-6 to start. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm taking my shot with City of Light, the California horse, as my single in the 4-go. I just think that he's better than that group. And then I'm going to go 4 by 3, 9, 10, 11. Catholic Boy, I think, does have a chance. I do think Tenfold, he is green, but let's be honest, they all have to beat Good Magic.
Yeah, the Haskell winner, the 2-year-old champion, Good Magic, would Justify retired, the Triple Crown champion. Good Magic, he is the one to beat right now. Can he solidify his status? Is the top 3-year-old in training in the Run Happy Travers. Up next, it's the start of this Naira Bet's late pick 5 and a $1 million minimum single ticket payout ahead if you play it through Naira Bets. If you're not signed up and started already, the time to do so is now. We'll be back with the post parade for the personal ensign next.
This successful son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast, a multiple Grade 1 winner and runner-up in the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. This year, Flatter is adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record at stud. In the auction ring, Flatter topped the 2018 Fasig-Tipton July seal with a $520,000 yearly. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Comes a late through on the inside to challenge Abel Tasman. Salty's in the center of the track. Abel Tasman and a late come past the 16th pole. Abel Tasman, a late, giving her a run for her money as they hit the wire. Abel Tasman has won it by a head.
Mike Smith on a tightrope right there, getting as close as you could without getting taken down to Jose Ortiz and a late. The stewards took a long look at it. her victory upheld, and that was just a Hall of Fame ride right there from the Hall of Famer.
I think everybody in the building and watching is hoping that those two come to the top of the stretch, ready to duke it out. And look, that's how it should be with two really, really good horses.
Today comes the rematch. It will be fun. Of course, Abel Tasman, she came back. She got beat in her 4-year-old debut, but then she rode maybe the best performance of her career on Belmont Stakes Day in the Ogden Phipps.
This was a scary good race by Abel Tasman in the Phipps, which is a one-turn race. But as scary good as it was, her comeback race in her 4-year-old year was that scary bad at Churchill Downs. She never picked up her feet at any point at 3 to 5. I don't have a reason for that race, but I'm just going to say, hey, we're looking for more from what happened at Belmont than her first race back off the bench.
All right, let's check in with Gabby Gaudette for more.
Thanks, Greg. And here with Jose Ortiz, about to be aboard a late. And Jose, now that you're on the outside of Abel Tasman, in your opinion, does that give you any bit of an advantage to kind of be on the prowl and watch what Abel Tasman does to your inside?
It does. I think it does. I got a really good pose, and you know, I would try to make the best out of it. Just looking for him. I mean, in a healthy way. I know. Just try to ride a very smart race, and I mean, 2 great fillies. I had to ride smart if I want to win.
You excited about this rematch?
I do, yeah. I'm very excited. I couldn't wait to get the rematch back.
All right, well, best of luck on this one, Jose.
Thank you.
We'll check in with Maggie for more, who's standing by in the paddock.
Let's go, baby.
Thank you, Gabby. And yes, I want to talk about a late, the one that Jose Ortiz will be aboard here, and we'll see if in their 3rd meeting she can turn the tables on Abel Tasman. And while I have a lot of love and respect for Abel Tasman, Elate is my girl. She has grown up, she's gotten bigger, and with that Delaware handicap behind her and the impression that she gave me that day is that she's even better than she was last year as a 3-year-old. She's massive. This is a humongous daughter of Medaglia d'Oro, and she looks fit and extremely well conditioned here, and she's so incredibly classy acting. I like Elate here, as she's just always been my favorite, as we'll check in with one that is making her 2nd start stateside, and that is number 4, Wow Cat. Last time, this filly got a little revved up in the paddock. Typical of a horse that is coming in off of a layoff that is a bit fresh, or kind of over the top, if you will. She ran well in defeat behind Farrell that day, but today she is so much more settled. She is relaxed here in the paddock, which I think bodes well for her. She looks that much more fit, not as if she didn't look fit last time, but just a little more tucked up, evident that she has had a race under her belt. So Wildcat, we'll see. She is sandwiched between Abel Tasman and Elate, and she looks as though she might be the other one here, Andy.
Thanks so much, Maggie. And of course, Maggie's Paddock Report, as always, is brought to us by Hillendale Farm. Paul, you and I are sick horse playing degenerates. We love the game, we love to bet, but we're also big fans of the game. And a race like the Personal Ensign, I become a fan, and I just can't wait for this matchup. Abel Tasman, she didn't run well in her return as a 4-year-old, but her Ogden Phipps, you said it before, and I agree, arguably her best effort to date.
Yeah, and if you have a worry for Abel Tasman, if you're backing Abel Tasman, the worry is the best 2 races that this filly has ever ran are around 1 turn. Now, you could say that the Kentucky Oaks, she won that, but the Acorn got a better number, and the Ogden Phipps got a better number. So, is she better around 1 turn or 2 turns? It's probably the same. So maybe that's the one thing. Now I'm nitpicking here.
Her Breeders' Cup Distaff was arguably her best effort to date before the last one. And she's a horse that's overcome some tough trips. She's moved early. She's made these big wide middle moves. She's sustained her rallies. I thought she did it last time out. And she is a terrific horse. She does not need her trip to win. And that's a mark of a truly good horse. And then there's Elate. Now, I don't want to judge Elate by the beginning of her career. I want to say the CCA Oaks was when we really saw what she could be. And then, much like Royal Delta for Bill Mott, she had her coming out party in the Alabama. Obviously, it didn't work out when she shipped across country to run against Abel Tasman in the Breeders' Cup. 1.25 miles to start her year, a race to build on. Today is the day she's ready to deliver, and she is ready, in my opinion, to run her best race to date.
And she gets a great setup, doesn't she? Because she's got Farrell to the inside of her, probably the speed of the race. Is probably going to force Mike Smith's hand from the inside, whether he wants to push Farrell early. all the cards are in her hands, and we'll see if she's good enough.
I think that Jose has to be aggressive with Elate, especially the way the racetrack is playing. Now, She Takes Heart will likely run with Farrell. Elate needs to be sitting a stalking third behind her and keep Abel Tasman in her sights and try to stay ahead of her. We'll see if that happens. Maggie mentioned Wildcat. She is clearly the other horse if you're looking for a possible upsetter in here. Now, she'll likely run better than her U.S. debut, and she was obviously undefeated in Chile. But I'm sorry, if you're going to beat horses like Abel Tasman Elate, you're supposed to win that race, even though Farrell had an advantage.
I get it. But sometimes these horses from Chile, Argentina, these imports, they improve second time.
It could happen.
There is Bob Baffert. He just earned his red jacket, inducted into the Saratoga Walk of Fame just yesterday on the eve of the Run Happy Travers. 11 Grade 1 wins here at Saratoga, including back-to-back runnings of the Travers. He won with Abel Tasman here in the Coaching Club American Oaks last year. He usually comes to New York with strong intent.
Yeah, strong intent. That's well put, because his win percentage is really up there.
Here is the 5-time Grade 1 winner and champion 3-year-old filly, Abel Tasman for China Horse Club. Trainer Bob Baffert and Mike Smith aboard.
Yeah, Hall of Famer Mike Smith, 1 for 1 here at Saratoga. $2.4 million in the bank. She looks like she's on her toes.
25-1 long shot. We will see next. She Takes Heart. Eric Consell rides for Peter Walder.
Now, my man Luch always ready to take a shot. Figure her as the speed.
Another Luch runner next door in Furiously Kiss for Anthony Quartarolo and Jose Bracho rides.
We know how Mr. Luch works. He has one that's going to go to the front, and Furiously Kiss will be coming from way back.
Wildcat, she beat the boys. She was undefeated in Chile. She missed by a neck of the Chuvie in her States debut for Chad Brown.
She did chase a low to the leader, but she was heavily touted and heavily favored, and she needs to take a big step forward to beat the big two.
Farrell is the one who beat her, leading every step of the way in the Grade 3 Chuvie at Saratoga back on July 29th for Wayne Catalano.
We sort of talk about Lady Joan being the Rodney Dangerfield. Doesn't Farrell seem like she's the Rodney Dangerfield? She's got $1 million in the bank, and she's 9-1.
And Elate, the chance for revenge for what happened in the Coaching Club American Oaks against Abel Tasman. She came out of that race to win the Alabama and the Beldame for Hall of Famer Bill Mott.
The Breeders' Cup might be a huge race, but this one takes a back seat to none. Right now, they're looking to settle who is the best older filly or mare racing, and Elate has a chance to do that.
Standing by with a Hall of Fame trainer who was just inducted into the Saratoga Walk of Fame. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet.
That's right, Greg, and here with trainer Bob Baffert. And Bob, yesterday you were inducted into the Walk of Fame. You got a nice, beautiful red jacket. Just talk about that honor and that experience.
Well, I mean, when you see the people that are already in it, I mean, that's pretty. It says it itself what an honor it is and a privilege to be involved, especially here in Saratoga. It's like the biggest stage in racing that we have in the summertime. So, I was very honored and really enjoyed it. It was pretty cool. The red jacket actually fit me really well, and it was a very nice jacket, but the kind words from Wayne Lucas. But Saratoga is so special. I mean, if you want a championship, if you want an Eclipse Award, you have to come through Saratoga, and that's one thing I learned a long time ago. And Mike Pegerman and I, when we first came here with Silver Bullet Day, we were so out of our element. We came here, and so those guys, owners like that have been so important to me. But it's just really, it's huge. It's a huge accomplishment. And the fans, you guys have the best fans. They just love racing. And so now let's hope they can cash a ticket on Abel Tasman.
Well, if they cash a ticket, they're not going to get a lot of money. She is a heavy favorite right now, but you swapped the red jacket for the blue jacket today, getting ready for Abel Tasman. And talk a little bit about her. In her first race back off the layoff in the La Troyenne, what did you, in your opinion, why did we see this dramatic turnaround?
Well, she needed the race at Churchill Downs. She ran okay, and it was like a speed bias track. She came back, she worked really well for that. And so I thought I'd freshen her up, and she ran lights out. I mean, Mike came back and said, man, if you can keep her like this, nobody can beat her. So I could have run her at Del Mar, but I wanted to come to Saratoga because this is where it happens, And if you can win here, it's very important. And so and I brought her and then Marley's Freedom, who I think she's really nice. They're tough races, but you're going to find out what you really have.
Well, you were talking about the Saratoga live shows before we went on. I'm happy that you could be part of it. I know you're a constant viewer.
I'm a huge fan. You guys do an incredible job. You guys are very entertaining, but you're very informative, and that's what the fans want to see. And so congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Oh, he's got me blushing down here, that's for sure, if someone like Bob Baffert can compliment us, guys. So something to be proud of, but best of luck here with Abel Tasman. We'll be rooting for.
Thank you.
All right, Greg.
He has done it all in his career. One of only 2 trainers in the history of this sport to train multiple Triple Crown winners.
If we get a
Just
chance.
multiple
That's
Triple
all.
Crown winners. I mean, he's had so many, 5 different times he's had chance to win the Triple Crown when he's come to the Belmont. 2 of those he's pulled off, and the other 3, less than a length separated them from being immortalized in history, in horse racing history. No one can lay claim to that.
Most recognizable trainer in this sport that we have. Hall of Famer, and now in the Saratoga Walk of Fame as well. And there is his filly, Abel Tasman. Has such a great affinity for her. Just calls her kind of like the pet around the barn. She's been very special to him, a 5-time Grade 1 winner. It's going to be interesting from a pace standpoint in here as well. Speed has been very dominant the last couple of days here at Saratoga. Farrell, the 5, looks like the lone speed in here. Will Mike Smith be forced to go early and keep her company?
Well, I think we have to talk about the 5-horse Farrell because she's not only speed, she's one-dimensional speed, meaning she's going to run well if she can clear a group. Her heart gets big, and she fights to the wire. But if she gets headed early in a race or doesn't make the lead, then it's show over for the 5 Farrell. Who can possibly go with her? Maybe She Takes Heart. I don't know what the game plan is with Peter Waller and the 2-horse She Takes Heart. Has been running in sprints, now going to 2 turns for the first time. Certainly has the speed to take on Farrell if she chooses to use it. But if Farrell gets a lead on her own, it's going to be a matter of where you're tactically placed with Abel Tasman or with Elate. Andy seems to think that Elate is able to place herself better than Abel Tasman as it pertains to pace. I see it just the other way around. I think Abel Tasman will be able to place herself much better against whatever the pace is than Elate.
I'm just a little disappointed that you're not even reading what your man Ron Paolucci, Luch Racing, is saying. He made it very clear. Farrell's not getting the lead. He claims that She Takes Heart is sending from the gate, and I think that's going to change the dynamic of the gate race quite significantly.
I mean, for those 2, right? But, I mean, it doesn't change the dynamic for the 1 and the 6.
No,
the 2
no,
players.
It'll help the 1 and 6. What I'm saying is it'll take away necessarily the advantage of speed that Farrell has. But still, and feel free to disagree, Tom, I think, and it'll be interesting to see, I think Abel Tasman gets ridden to get herself in position, where I think Elate may have more natural speed. And I think Jose is going to try to take advantage of that and maybe keep Abel Tasman in his pocket a little bit.
Well, Elate's 4-year-old debut in the Delaware Handicap doesn't suggest that. I mean, those 2 horses that were making the lead in that race that were in the first 4 after the opening quarter, they finished the last 4 in that race. Elate got a great setup. I'm not taking anything away from her. She's a very, very good horse. But I just can't see her having better position than the 1-horse Abel Tasman as it pertains to how the race unfolds.
That's a fair argument, Tom. I'm not going to argue that. I'm going to hope they ride her in the race, but I can't really argue that. I don't stand on a solid ground.
All right, here's a look at Wildcat, who was unbeatable when she was in Chile. She beat the boys. She won multiple Group 1s. And then she came here to the States highly touted. Chad Brown felt she could be the next great Chilean to run here in the United States, and it was an interesting trip that day.
Look, she got beat a neck in the Chuvy off of that time off in her first start in the United States. She was bet down to less than even money. Obviously, this is a very, very good horse and a good workout horse in the morning. If she moves forward here, maybe she comes into the argument against these top 2. I don't know, but it'll be something she has to show some improvement on. But highly regarded, yes, not only in the betting windows, but by the trainer.
That was her first start in 7 months, so she has every right to move forward. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Hey, Terrence.
Thanks, guys. And I want to talk about number 5, Farrell. As you all were saying that, yes, maybe she gets a little company up on the front end. But I will say she's actually a little more relaxed than she was going back to that Chuvy in which she was victorious. And boy, do I miss having Channing Hill around here, as he is Wayne Catalano's son-in-law. I asked him out here, I said, Channing, what do you think? What if the Luch horse goes? And he said, you know what? I'd actually like Farrell to have a target, like somebody to run at. He really believes that she could be better if she has somebody to run at. And he says, if she doesn't break well, then guess what? I will take advantage of that and cut her off going to the first turn. Said, I like that plan, Channing. Sounds good to me. But number one is Abel Tasman. You know, last time back at Belmont, she really wowed me in the paddock for that Ogden Phipps. Not quite the same energy here. I was hoping I'd see a little bit more out on the track. I haven't, not to say she won't run well or win here as your current favorite. She just had her A game, at least in the preliminaries, going back to that day at Belmont. But we'll see what shakes out. We'll check in with Gabby for one more comment before they go in the field for this personal ensign.
Thanks, Maggie. Well, that's really interesting stuff. I was talking to Mike Smith actually just a moment ago before he hopped aboard Abel Tasman. And this is a rider who has been on Abel Tasman each and every one of her 13 starts. He's ridden her at 7 different tracks in those 13 starts. And he said to me that this is the best track that she gets over. He said when the first time that he came here with her, actually last year, he gave her a warm up on track. And he said just the way that she floated over it. He said sometimes she can sink into it. She doesn't get over it very nicely, but for one reason or another, she absolutely floats over this track. So I think that that's encouraging. And Greg, probably one of the reasons I think why, you know, Bob Baffert has confidence in shipping her back east.
Well, she looked pretty darn good when she won the Coaching Club American Oaks here. Again, this is the big rematch with the late. Do not forget, this is the time to get signed up and started if you've been thinking about it with Naira Bets. If you're going to play the Naira Bets Late Pick 5 today, if you're the only winning ticket, a minimum $1 million single ticket payout. There's over $500,000 in the pool today. No matter how large it grows, if it doesn't get to that number, you're the only ticket. $1 million is what you get in your account. Go to NairaBets.com, get signed up, or download the Naira Bets app to get involved today for this Naira Bets Late Pick 5 that starts in this race here, the Personal Ensign, coming up. So there's another look at I should say, a late. She certainly flourished after that narrow defeat to Abel Tasman. She'd win back-to-back Grade 1. She won the Alabama at 1.25 miles. She won the Beldame, and she came back this year off about a 7-month layoff and won at 1.25 miles. That's not easy to do.
And she did it. She did it easy. It may not be easy to do for a racehorse, but when you're really good, like she is, you can do it, and you can do it easy. On top of that, we actually saw her work against Hofburg over on the Oklahoma track, and she looked much better than he did, and that's no slouch she worked against that day, so we know she's ready to perform today.
There is a look at Wildcat. This was the Chilean superstar, the filly by Look at a Lucky for Chad Brown, with John Velasquez aboard. So we'll see, Andy. This is her second start. That was her first start in about 7 months when she lined up in the Chuvie.
Listen, it's Chad Brown, and it's a big race. And certainly a horse coming second off a long layoff, 8 months since the race before that. She can improve. But she is supposed to have won that race last time. Pace advantage for Farrell or not, she was right on top of the pace. And to beat, she's going to have to jump up an awful lot to beat both Abel Tasman in a late ball.
Yeah, the other part you could think is, okay, the horse hadn't had a race since December 9th. And the one Grade 1 win she does have is at 1.25 miles. So maybe you didn't have her cranked up at the 1 1/8 last time out in the Chuvie. I get it. She's supposed to win that race, but maybe she's going to get better going longer.
She better be better in here because she is meeting the big guns.
It's the Grade 1 Personal Ensign. It kicks off the Naira Bets Late Pick 5 with a $1 million minimum single ticket payout. The rematch between the 1 Abel Tasman and the 6 Elate. They were neck and neck to the wire, and in the end, Abel Tasman survived that steward's inquiry to get the victory. They go at it again here this afternoon. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
Farrell has moved into the starting gate, and Elate at 9-5 odds takes up her spot in the outside stall. And they're all in line. They're off in the Personal Ensign, and Farrell had a great beginning. She goes straight out to the front. She takes Heart is Sent along after her. Elate is on the far outside, a bit wide into that first turn, and Wildcat goes up into the mix too, while Mike Smith keeps Abel Tasman on the fence, just in behind the front runners into that turn. The trailer is furiously kissed. So around the clubhouse turn in the personal ensign, and She Takes Heart will take the initiative here, scampering off to lead after a 23.31 opening quarter mile. She's got a 3-length lead, and Farrell will let her do it, and Abel Tasman moves through on her inside now, and now they're head-and-head, second and third. Break of another 2.5 to a late, racing to the inside of Wildcat. Furiously Kissed is the trailer, and Abel Tasman's gonna take on She Takes Heart. Abel Tasman pokes her neck in front. She Takes Heart on the inside is second. Farrell just a length and a half off of them. Elite will sit the rail in fourth after a 46.62 half. The pace has been an honest one here with a half mile to run. Wildcats in a good stalking spot in fifth. Furiously Kissed trails. Around the far turn, Abel Tasman now by a length and a half. Farrell into Later right behind. Wildcat's going to move up on the outside. Take over fourth from She Takes Heart, who's had enough. Then Furiously Kissed. 3/4 in 1:10.26. Abel Tasman is the leader as they come to the top of the stretch. And here comes Elite after her. And the two of them hook up again in the personal ensign. Abel Tasman put to a drive. Elite takes it to her. What a furlong to run. They are nose to nose, stride for stride. Abel Tasman and Mike Smith, Elite and Jose Ortiz. Who's it going to be? Abel Tasman determined. Elite can't get by. Here's the wire. Oh, Abel Tasman did it. She won it by a neck over Elite. It was 7 lengths back to Wildcat, and Furiously Kissed in a final time of 1 minute 47.19 seconds. What a personal ensign.
Not far off the track record in the two who met in the Coaching Club American Oaks last year. Down the lane together again, same result. It's Abel Tasman.
That was awesome. I came out of my chair watching that stretch run. Watch Mike Smith on the inside. He waits forever to ask Abel Tasman to run. Actually, I thought he got headed at one point, and then he moves his hands, then he goes to the stick. She comes back on a very gamey late and beats her. Uh-oh, there's a little bit of bump there.
Yeah, it's a little crazy here. Jose is going to be claiming foul here on the 6th.
Take a look at this.
Yeah, they're going to take a look at this now. This is the second time Mike Hinton Smith is in the Hall of Fame because of his left hand. And when they come down the lane here, you're going to see Abel Tasman in front. Does the 6 look like he's going to go by, or is she going to go by? And then the momentum gets stopped, and there is some contact mid in lane here.
Yeah, there's some contact, but I doubt they alter the order of finish. I just want to say this was a tremendous horse race between two tremendous racehorses, and this is what horse racing is all about.
How about that? So these two have met twice at this historic racetrack. It's come down to these two neck and neck both times, and both times Jose Ortiz and Elite have said, we need to look at this to the stewards.
Well, you know what? They both actually move over a little bit, but I have to say, Abel Tasman moves over more, and there's definite contact there. I'm not saying it's a lot, but the margin of victory wasn't much either. This is something that we're going to have to look at a little bit.
Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Okay, here with Mike Smith. We'll let you go soon here, Mike. But you, that's why you're the master. That's why you're Big Money Mike. You knew how this track was playing. You were aggressive with her. You got the jump on Elite.
That's what I would try to do, honestly. Vegas, I felt the track was playing real good. I liked towards the inside a little better today, and I was able to get there, get to where I wanted to be comfortable. We kind of come together just once and then twice at the end when he came back on me, but it was really nothing. She was holding him off all the way around there.
And you feel as though this is a fair race and that you will remain victorious?
Well, good Lord's willing, but without a doubt, it was plenty fair.
All right, guys. Well, Mike, congratulations to you. Abel is certainly Elite's kryptonite.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, guys, we'll see what plays out here. We'll let Mike get back so he can talk to the stewards because obviously there is an inquiry and objection.
Meanwhile, Hall of Famer, two-time Triple Crown winning trainer Bob Baffert waiting to see what the stewards' decision will be. And yeah, Mike Smith still needs to make his case to the stewards.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it, right? The stewards are going to watch this head on. They can see what happened. They're going to ask each rider what they were doing down the lane. Mike hitting left-handed. Jose Ortiz bringing his horse over to Abel Tasman to make her more competitive late in the race as well. If you put a straight line on these two horses right now, they both move over. There's no doubt about that.
You make a great point there, Tom. The interesting part is there's no inquiry. There's only an objection here. There have not been an inquiry signed. So I don't know if the stewards or what's going on, but you make a good point. It's probably, what, 65-35 or 60-40 maybe that he came out? and they met.
I'm going to say, and I agree with Tom, that Elate was coming over. Now, there's no question Abel Tasman came out, and I wish these jockeys would stop doing this and just ride their horse in a straight path. But be that as it may, I'm going to tell you something. I get the bumping, and there's a lot of oohing and eyeing going here. I wouldn't change this order of finish.
I'm sort of with you
and
here.
I wish they would, because I want Elate to win. But I wouldn't change this order of
finish. I just don't think it does anything to the outcome. You, Tom, you think the 6 was going by?
No, I don't think it's changed the outcome, but I'm curious as to Andy's comment. I don't think these riders did this on purpose. I mean, you're getting hit left-handed, as Abel Tasman is. It's going to make you drift a little bit. And all Jose Ortiz is trying to do is make his horse competitive by putting him on the other horse. No one's meaning to make contact here.
No, they say they're meaning to make contact, but they're constantly hurting. Riders are constantly coming out to foes and doing
race riding.
Things.
That's how you make a horse competitive.
Well, let's look at the head-on again as we see. I'd like to go back to it again and go from where Elate is. How many paths does she come in, and how many paths does Abel Tasman come out? I would say 3 to Abel Tasman and 2. Let's see. 1, 2 on the 6, and about 3, 3.5 maybe on. Here's the head-on.
Do they make contact because Abel Tasman was coming out only, or because Elate was also coming in?
Both.
And I think if that's the case, how can they take it down?
I think we've already said that they're both moving.
Then how
out of
can
their
they take it
paths.
down? How can they take it down? I mean, do we know for sure that that bump, that one solid bump, happened because Abel Tasman was coming out or because Elate was coming in, or both? And if it's both, you can't change the order of finish.
Yeah, you can make the argument Elate was coming in more than Abel Tasman was coming out.
I'll tell you one other thing. I think the stewards took a lot of grief last year over this same 2 horses and the inquiry that happened and leaving it the same. I wonder if they're feeling any pressure today.
Is that weighing on their minds? Are they thinking, oh, we need to make a makeup call here? I'm
no,
sure
I mean, really.
they're not,
Look, they're human beings.
Yeah.
You know?
They don't think that way, and Tom's not suggesting they do, but that's a very interesting point. Psychology could weigh in their mind.
One more look. Abel Tasman on the inside, Elate on the outside. They come together to meet each other. And because of that, it's almost negates what each other did. And again, it is an objection. It is not a steward's inquiry. It was the jockey, Jose Ortiz, that lodged this against Abel Tasman.
But I have to say, that surprises me.
Yeah,
why isn't the inquiry sign up? They're supposed to look at this.
I agree with you, too. And Jose Ortiz, if you watch the run out, he points at the camera immediately saying, I got fouled. He's basically telling you, and there's no change. No change. And to me, listen, I picked Abel Tasman on top. There's got to be a jurisdiction. If a foul's a foul, a foul's a foul. I get it, but you cannot project the 6 was going by. I think they did make the right decision, but Abel Tasman was more at fault than she was at Elate.
I think Abel Tasman probably was a little more at fault, but if you're going to make takedowns, I don't care if it's a maiden claiming race or it's a grade 1. It has to be an absolute decision. Otherwise, you've got to leave it up. And I just don't think they're supposed to make the change in this case.
Well, look,
I wish they had, personally.
No matter what happens in the Run Happy Travers, this is going to be the story tomorrow. This race and what happened between these 2 horses. You can count on that.
This is becoming an incredible rivalry between these 2 fillies, Abel Tasman and Elate. 1-2 back-to-back years here at Saratoga. Last year coaching Club American Oaks. This year in the personal ensign. Steward's inquiry last year. Jockey's objection this year. And both times Abel Tasman victory has been upheld. We'll be back. Quick break. More Saratoga Live next.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Tasman is the leader as they come to the top of the stretch. And here comes Elate after her. And the two of them hook up again. And the personal ensign, Abel Tasman, put to a drive. Elate takes it to her. What a furlong to run. They are nose to nose, stride for stride. Abel Tasman and Mike Smith, Elate and Jose Ortiz. Who's it gonna be? Abel Tasman determined. Elate can't get by. Here's the wire. Oh, Abel Tasman did it.
Almost an exact repeat of what we saw in the Coaching Club American Oaks last summer between these same two fillies, except last year it was Abel Tasman on the outside, intimidating Elate down on the inside, bumping this time around, and the victory by Abel Tasman upheld her 6th Grade 1 victory.
How about the patience of Mike Smith? He never went to his whip until the 8th pole. I mean, you have that horse alongside of you. She's a great one. She heads you, and you're still sitting and not hitting quite yet.
And the difference in your mind in this race?
Oh, without a doubt, tactical speed, the ability to get position earlier, Abel Tasman over Elate, because they're both great horses.
China Horse Club, Hall of Famer Bob Baffert, Hall of Famer Mike Smith, your winning connections on this super filly, Abel Tasman. Send it downstairs to Gabby Gaudet.
Thank you, Greg and Bob. Well, what was that conversation like with Mike Smith when you were waiting on the track with inquiry posted?
He came back. He didn't seem worried about it. You know, he said she sort of came in. He knows there was contact there, but she was lengthening her stride there at the end. So that's why it's very important when I ask you what the talking heads were saying. And they said, I felt good about it there, but I didn't see it myself during the race until I saw the objection. And they showed, and then I could tell the crowd here, you know, they're fighting for their $2 now. I don't blame them for that, but, you know, she just showed what an incredible mare, and the filly that ran second. I mean, that's the Breeders' Cup right there. You know, those two fillies are just, you know, the two best fillies. I mean, that was like a mini Breeders' Cup today.
Talk about this rivalry. I mean, every time they match up, it's like it's an incredible performance, at least here at Saratoga.
Yeah, you know, Del Mar last year, she was far back and she didn't get going till late. It was really disappointing, but she is just a phenomenal mare. And it's the sweetest thing to be around. Watching the race with my wife, Jill, she loves this mare so much. She would say, "What's Mike doing?" He's doing great. Don't worry, he's making an early move, because when you're in the one hole like that. But that's where Mike Smith, that's why he should have been wearing the red jacket yesterday, not me. I'm telling you what, when he's on, he's on.
He absolutely is. Congratulations, Bob.
Thank you.
All right, what an incredible matchup we saw from these two fillies. Abel Tasman coming out on top.
I want to, after the last two meetings between these two fillies, I want to see him do it again. Can we convince Bob Baffert to go to the Beldame? Certainly they're going to meet again in the Breeders' Cup, and when they meet again, that will be the 4th meeting between these two.
And what a story that'll be. This is like Ali Frazier right here, if you're into that kind of thing. I mean, these two give it all they have. This is the kind of horse race that makes you a fan forever. I was so excited watching these two down the stretch.
In the end, same result as the Coaching Club American Oaks from last year. Abel Tasman, Bob Baffert said, I want to try and get her another championship. She has put herself in great position to make that happen.
Oh, is she indeed? She's the leader, plain and simple.
So our Naira Bets Late Pick 5 is underway again. You're the only winning ticket. $1 million guaranteed into your account. Starts off with the odds-on favorite, Abel Tasman, but we got a long way to go, and plenty of fireworks could still happen. The Grade 1 Ballerina is next. Fillies and mares, 3 and up, going 7 furlongs. And Marley's Freedom, guess who? Bob Baffert, Mike Smith with the current favorite.
Yeah, Bob's had this horse for only 2 starts, undefeated in both. She used to try 7/8 with the other trainer, and she was very vulnerable and not a winner at that distance. But under Bob Baffert's tutelage, they're going to make her the favorite at that distance today.
It is Run Happy Travers Day, and of course the big one that happens in race 11, Vino Rosso. His owner, Mike Rapoli, says in the morning he's undefeated. Didn't exactly want to run every step of the way in the Jim Dandy, but when he puts his mind to it, he is dangerous. Can he pull off the upset? We'll talk about it next.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 4 millionaires, including Claiborne Farm stallion Lee. Recent top runners include 4-time graded stakes winner Miss Sky Warrior, 3-time graded stakes winner Sharp Samurai, multiple stakes winner Bal Harbor, and Dubai Group 3 winner Shamal Nibras. Last year, his 2-year-olds sold up to $540,000, while his yearlings fetched up to a whopping $575,000. First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires, 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes, and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, what colors will the canoe be painted in after the Run Happy Travers? Right now, it's Gary and Mary West who have carried those colors on the infield canoe with Bob Baffert and Mike Smith's victory on West Coast last year. They carried that horse to 3-year-old championship honors, but it is waiting for a fresh coat of paint. And here's a look at the field for the Run Happy Travers mile and a quarter. Of course, Good Magic, your Haskell winner, reigning 2-year-old champion. Morning line favorite, but could someone from the Jim Dandy step in and pull off the upset? Of course, it was won by Tenfold for trainer Steve Asmussen, but he got a little, bore out a little bit after looking at that video board in the stretch.
Almost cost him the race. I mean, I think Tenfold might actually lose the lead here. That's him with the red silks, the white cap. He's getting hit left-handed, and late in the race when he clears that horse inside of him, he's going to drift out pretty good. As far as Vino Rosso goes, he's just coming into your picture. He's 4th. He's going to come running at the end of this race, but he was so far back early, he wasn't even on our TV when we were watching it.
And the thing with Vino Rosso, he trains so good. And there's Todd Fletcher looking to win a 3rd Travers. He just loses interest sometimes. And early on in that race, it seemed like he didn't want to run. He finally put his mind to it, ran for a little bit, stopped again, and then started to pick up some steam. So he's got to do it for the entire race if he hopes to win today.
Yeah, his good races are really good, and his bad races are puzzling. And where he positions himself early is also puzzling. But if he's at his best today, he's going to get the right setup. I think there's a lot of speed in here. So Vino Rosso, as well as Tenfold, I think their horses are going to be overlooked in this race. They have a big chance.
And in that race, in the Jim Dandy, Tenfold, I think it surprised some of us that we saw him that close to the pace, pressuring Flame away. But that's where they wanted to be. Where do you expect to see him today?
Well, Andy differs with me on this, but on that particular day in the Jim Dandy, he was ridden hard out of the gate, slapped with the stick a few times. There's no question that the instructions of the paddock were go to the front, or get yourself close early. And it cost his finish. He was laboring at the end of the race. No question about it. But I don't think they're going to run that way. I think they're going to run the old-fashioned way. And if you look at his Belmont, you're talking about a race without trouble. And he got a bunch of it that day. He was easily second best in the Belmont.
Yeah, there's no argument. His connections did want him. That was the game plan going into that race. They wanted him close on Jim Dandy. We'll see if that happens again here coming up this afternoon.
You know, Tom, I actually agree with you. It's interesting. I agree with the way you're thinking about it. Now, Steve Asmussen told Gabby after the race, we want this horse to be more forwardly placed, and that's their intention. But I agree, Tom. I mean, when they look at this Travers, they have to change their thinking, right? And say, well, we can't be part of this pace, so we want to come from farther behind. I think that's more what you're saying, Tom.
No doubt. I'm saying, look, the tactics worked great that day, but the idea of thinking they're going to have those tactics today, that's ludicrous amongst a group of people that know what they're doing and know how to strategize for a race. They're not going to do that.
That's still to come. Race 11, the Grade 1 Run Happy Travers. Right now, we're going to check in with Gabby Gaudette standing by with a special guest.
That's right, Greg, here with Mark Morandi, the Director of Sales at Keeneland. And talk a little bit about this. I mean, there are 9 of the 10 entrants for the Grade 1 Run Happy Travers Stakes that went through the Keeneland sale. That's something pretty special.
It is. We're looking forward to it, and this is an exciting race. But, yeah, to have that big of a representation in there is pretty awesome.
And they're kind of sprinkled throughout the card as well, a huge representation as well. But even specifically Vino Rosso, there are a couple of horses that are running today with their siblings in the sale too.
That's correct. There's a Pioneer of the Nile colt that's a half to Vino Rosso, and there's a Super Saber half to Good Magic. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of important for a lot of the sellers for coming up into September. So.
And you kind of touched on it there, but what kind of momentum, if these runners have kind of a good day here on Travers Day, what kind of momentum does that build going into September sale?
Oh, it's all good. I mean, it just helps immensely. But to have a half to a current horse like that, it's, awful exciting. It's just big stuff. There's a half to Mendelssohn in there as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think everybody's got something that they can get excited about. And with one of these winners, be it Good Magic, Mendelssohn, or, it's pretty exciting stuff for the guys that are selling the yearlings coming up.
I think it speaks for itself, just the talent that is on the biggest stage of the summer here going through the Keeneland sales. I got to ask you, do you have a Travers pick?
Let's see if Good Magic can do it again.
All right, I'm on there with you as well as we'll check in with Maggie for a closer look on those in the paddock. This paddock report is brought to you by Hellendo.
Thank you, Gabby. And we'll actually start off with number 7, Marley's Freedom, as Bob Baffert looks to go back-to-back here with rider Mike Smith. Now, Marley's Freedom physically, I love what I see here. I mean, she's just so well conditioned. She's super classy acting here in the paddock, considering this is her first time away from California, or I should say not first time away from California, but first time here at Saratoga, where you're encountering so much more energy as far as the crowd is concerned, and she's just taking it all in. Now, while she is posted well for her running style and that she likes to be out wide, when last time we saw her down on the insides when she got beat, but she's gotten good since then, and especially going into the barn of Bob Baffert. But you just watch her replays, and she's very comfortable being on the outside of horses. Now, whether that bodes well for her chances over this track here today, we'll see. But like I said, she has Mike Smith on her back, and he is incredibly adaptable. As we'll take a look at one that I've been waiting to turn back in distance, that's number 2, Ivy Bell. Now, she is just so much more physically suited to shorter distances as she turns back from that Shoe V, in which Todd Pletcher said that the ballerina is the end goal here. So I like her here overall, and she looks as though she's actually a bit more sharp with this turn back in distance. Now, as far as the speed is concerned, we'll see what they do here with Finley's Lucky Charm, as she won the prep to this Kettle One ballerina in the honorable miss, and she is one of the leaders of this division, and she's so cool. She's just super classy acting. I love her disposition here. She hasn't gotten wound up whatsoever. She's taking it all in stride here for trainer Brett Calhoun. We'll see what her rider, Brian Hernandez, who's been aboard her pretty much in every single start, does with her here today, but this is a very interesting ballerina, Greg.
I think it is a really good race, Maggie. And to me, Finley's Lucky Charm, I'm surprised, Paul, she's not favored here. She's, in my opinion, she is in the best form of her career as a 5-year-old. She's coming off a win in the track, arguably the fastest race she's ever run. And Paul, she looks like the controlling inside speed.
Yeah, and she gets away from this group, she's going to be tough. And the equalizer, a lot of people will look and say, okay, is it the 7 furlongs? She's 2 for 5 at that distance. And when she's let to go a pretty good gallop. Now, she went 109 flat in the Madison, was able to hold that field off. She's got a ton of quality.
No, she's very good. And here she is getting the job done last time. You see her out in the middle of the track. Now, Brian Hernandez didn't win 2 races on the front end today because he doesn't know speed is good, and she's just the fastest horse early. And, you know, as we segue and we look at Finley's Lucky Charm here, listen, you got to talk about Bob Baffert. We'll come back on the 7, Marley's Freedom. And this, by the way, this is a tougher spot, the Honorable Miss.
I get it.
Nobody's denying that. Marley's Freedom has one race that would make her super tough. First time for Bob Baffert, 2 back. She did get a perfect trip behind a 3-horse speed duel that day, and now she's on a track where she's going to have to change her running style a bit to get in the ball game here. And the other races she's run, I'm sorry, Paul, they're not good enough. So am I supposed to take her as the favorite, Bob Baffert, Mike Smith, and all, off of just one perfect trip win?
Yeah, I don't know, but she was 90 cents on the dollar and 20 cents on the dollar. When Bob Baffert's horses get bet like that, they must be the real deal
Feels
in
tougher
the morning.
here.
Yeah, I know it's tougher here, but it seems like when Mike and Bob come into town, they are awfully tough. And when the money comes in, too, reportedly been working up a storm. But I get it. Batting practice is a lot different than the ball game.
Lewis Bay. I'm going to tell you, in my brain, I know Chad Brown. He told Irad Ortiz to try to get position, get to the rail behind Finley's Lucky Charm, almost like a turf race. Rail and try to come out, but be on the rail as much as you can. The question with Lewis Bay, who's really she's a very good horse, but she's hung in some big spots, let's be honest. Last time out was a best performance ever. But American Gal, the heavy favorite, she got left at the gate, and she was a no-show. So did Lewis Bay run well because she was left with no competition, or was that her coming-out party?
Good question. I'll tell you what she is. She should be the favorite in here because she's the most honest horse in here by far. She's tactical enough. You say there's not a lot of pace. She might be sitting second in here. I just don't see Lewis Bay not hitting the board here. I'm surprised she's 3 to 1, to be honest.
I think she will. I think this is a case where Bob Baffert may be being overbet a little bit. And I'm not saying she's not going to win because she clearly can. I even think the long shot's still there. The New York bred could perhaps be the 3rd New York bred to win a Grade 1 at Saratoga this summer, Greg.
Called a post from Sam the Bugler. And we had New York Bred Showcase Day yesterday, but yeah, New York Breds continuing to shine on the big stage as well. Of course, Diversify won the Whitney, Mind Your Biscuits, stretching out, ran 2nd in that race with that 1-2 New York Bred finish in the Grade 1. Here's our post spread, and here's Tequilita at 25 to 1. Blinkers go on.
Yeah, they're going to try to mix something up with this filly by Union Rags, who just sort of fell out of form a tiny bit, but she's got a decent race in the Ruffian.
Ivy Bell, 2013 Keeneland September yearling graduate, sent out by Todd Pletcher, back to a distance she loves.
The turn back at distance should help her chances here. Todd Pletcher is 2 for 35, going from a route to a sprint in dirt races with graded stakes.
Still there is undefeated at 7 furlongs, 2 for 2 for Dane Kabisky. David Cohen aboard.
Yeah, this horse is very fast. Is she experienced enough to take this kind of group on?
K. Wren we'll see next at 22 to 1 for trainer Graham Motion.
I'm a fan of this horse, but if she couldn't win the Shine again, I don't know how she beats the big girls.
Finley's Lucky Charm. She'll have a half-sister by Violence selling at the Keeneland September yearling sale, trained by Brett Calhoun with Brian Hernandez Jr.
Yeah, she's looking for her 2nd Grade 1 win, and that would put her in the millionaire group.
Lewis Bay, coming off a Grade 3 win in the Bed of Roses, 2014 Keeneland September yearling graduate for Chad Brown.
She's already a millionaire, so I'm surprised to see she's made more than Finley's Lucky Charm. She's got to get the right trip, but her last race was good.
Our favorite at 8 to 5, Bob Baffert, Mike Smith with Marley's Freedom, a 2015 Keeneland September yearling grad.
We'll find out what she's made of. She's just destroyed 2 5-horse fields. It gets deeper here.
And long shot Union Strike for Steve Asmussen as a half-brother by Honor Code, who will be selling at the Keeneland September yearling sale.
How about a big trainer switch from Mick Ruiz to Steve Asmussen? She could be a sleeper at a big price to get a little bit of a piece.
She has won at 7/8 of a mile as well. Just missed a 2nd victory in the 8 bells on a sloppy track at Churchill. Winning your in race for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint here in the Grade 1. Kettle 1 Ballerina. It is coming up next. Get signed up, get started with NYRA Bets. $200 new member modus going on now. Use the promo code Saratoga Live and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned.
Eclipse champion Blaine is having a breakout year in 2018. Among the nation's leading sires of stakes horses, his recent top runners include Fault, Maraud, Marley's Freedom, Beyond Blame, and Miss Kentucky. He's also making a name for himself internationally with French Classic winner Singman. And with yearlings bringing up to $350,000, this three-time Grade 1 winner offers outstanding value. Blaine, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live as we're getting set and ready to go for the Grade 1 Ballerina, and here with Brett Calhoun, who does send out the number 5, Finley's Lucky Charm. Brett, talk a little bit about the running style today. I mean, she is a filly that is very fast, but do you feel that she could be in a position to control today?
I think she could. I mean, Lewis Bay's got an ideal spot right outside of us, and she has speed too, and I'm sure she's planning on keeping us company, but I think we do on paper look like the fastest filly. If she breaks sharp, I think there's a possibility she could take control.
Does that give you at least a little bit of confidence considering how the track has been playing? It seems like that it's been pretty difficult for horses to make up ground.
It does seem like speed's been very good today. Hopefully it'll stay that way another race. But you know, I would expect her to be very close to the pace if she gets away good.
All right, well, best of luck on this one. Very talented filly, the only Grade 1 winner in the race.
Yeah, she's been great for us. I guess the only negative is she's coming back, you know, 4 weeks, and I'm sure like everybody's said something about coming back in 4 weeks. She's been a little bit better with a little bit more rest maybe, but she seemed like that last race was a pretty easy race for her.
All right, well, best of luck here, Brett.
Thank you.
Back to you, Greg.
5-2 on the board right now. Second choice, Finley's Lucky Charm, the 5. Winner of the Honorable Miss impressively here back on July the 25th at Saratoga. As we look at Lewis Bay for Chad Brown, and she just dusted Kay Ran the 4 and Highway Star, who was going to run in this race but was a scratch. As we look at the jockey standings, and here it's Irad Ortiz Jr. leading the way here with 40 victories, and he'll be the one riding Lewis Bay.
Yeah, he will. In that last race, the Bed of Roses, you know, Irad didn't stop on this horse, Lewis Bay, near the wire. As she, it was easy winner that day. He kind of rode her to the wire. I'm not sure what was behind that, if she's a horse that you need to stay busy on. It's her first win in a while since last December. But I guess she's the biggest threat, especially early on, to be alongside Finley's Lucky Charm, the 5-horse right inside of her.
Well, with more on Lewis Bay, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. And Lewis Bay is a filly who I love the fact that Chad Brown has conceded that she is more of that sprinter / one-turn mile type of runner. And I think she's, as a 5-year-old, just really filled out that frame. And she looks tremendous out here. Did get a pretty relaxed warm-up from Irad Ortiz. We'll see where she is in the early points of this race. Last time out in the Bed of Roses, she was able to lay fairly close. We'll see if she's able to do that. She didn't necessarily give me the signs of that here out on the track, so we'll see. A horse, though, that really wowed me in the warm-ups is the New York bred that Andy was talking about that could definitely have an outsider's chance here in Still There. Guys, she moved so beautifully. She literally just floated over this Saratoga dirt course for David Cohen. And I know she's a little overmatched here, but at least they're sticking with what she's best at, right, Andy? And that is dirt sprinting.
No, I agree, Maggie. You know, it's funny. We never understood why they were trying the turf with her, frankly, because she'd run so well in the dirt. And listen, she's got to take another step forward to beat the big girls. But, Paul, she's improving with every start if you throw out her turf race. And her last win, I mean, Lake Pontchartrain came back, ran a better speed figure in her next start, by her speed figure to win. These are the big girls, but she's knocking on the door, as they say.
She is. She's got a ton of talent, let's be honest. And she's very fast, and she's been able to show that she's been able to rate. I know she started her career late, but obviously started very mature. And she has tactical speed to stay close enough to maybe, you know, the fastest horse in here, which is Finley's Lucky Charm, at least early.
I think she's a potential upsetter or maybe get a piece of these. Union Strike, the 8, and you and I talked off camera a bit. You don't want to disregard. I mean, this trainer change, Steve Asmussen, is significant. Mick Ruiz moved a number of horses, including Bolt Dora, Steve Asmussen, and she's run well enough to say if she improves a little with the trainer change, she could be there, though the post did her no favors.
Listen, she was a very good 2-year-old. Shelby, Mick's daughter, trained this horse. They won the Del Mar Debutante at Grade 1. And, you know, as she's gone to 4, her last race was not bad in the Chicago at Arlington Park. And now, first time in the Asmussen barn, she should improve.
We'll see. This is going to be a fun one. The Grade 1s always are.
Grade 1, Kettle 1, Ballerina, 7/8 of a mile. Can Bob Baffert and Mike Smith go back-to-back in Grade 1s here on Run Happy Travers Day? They sent out the 7, Marley's Freedom, the 8-5 favorite. Let's set it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Wren taking her spot in the starting gate. 1 left to load. That's Union Strike coming up to the outside stall. Goes in, and they're all in line. They're off in the Kettle 1 Ballerina. Still There took a bit of a bobble coming out of the gate. Finley's Lucky Charm goes out to the early lead. Ivy Bell on the inside, flashing some early foot. And right up there, too, is Lewis Bay, and Marley's Freedom is on the far outside. In between horses, Still There is now going up to contend for second position. Tequilita's down on the inside. Union Strike and K-Ren at the rear of the field. The first quarter mile was not fast, 23.11 seconds, and Finley's Lucky Charm leads the way. On top by a length over Lewis Bay, running in second, moving for the far turn. Ivy Bell is third on the inside, then Still There, Marley's Freedom, 3 wide, and now up to challenge for third into the far turn. Then it's Union Strike, followed by Tequilita, and last of them all is K-Ren. Around the far turn, Finley's Lucky Charm, taken on by Lewis Bay after a 45.44 half mile. Marley's Freedom is coming up to them with a 3 wide bid now, coming to the top of the stretch. Marley's Freedom on the far outside. Lewis Bay is there. Finley's Lucky Charm. Ivy Bell's coming up the rail. No place to go for Still There, who's behind a wall of horses. Marley's Freedom in front with a furlong to run. Mike Smith lets her loose and she turns it on. Marley's Freedom pouring it on as they come down to the wire. She's gonna win the Ballerina, going away by 3.5 lengths. Still There was second, and then came Lewis Bay and Union Strike.
He does it again. Bob Baffert with Mike Smith aboard. Back-to-back Grade 1 wins. Marley's Freedom takes the Ballerina.
big disappointment from the favorite, the 5-horse Finley's Lucky Charm, who made a very reasonable opening quarter on her own. She should have had plenty of energy turning for home. That was not the case. Bob Baffert takes over in the blue shadow roll on the outside and just draws off from this group.
I completely agree, Tom. A very disappointing effort from the favorite, but not from the winner. I mean, they're walking on the front end. This horse, Marley's Freedom, is 4 wide stalking. Unless this racetrack has dramatically changed in the last half hour, we just saw a tremendous performance.
Yeah, and what you're seeing is just 2 Hall of Fame people that are coming up here to Saratoga. And Bob Baffert wore his best blue jacket. He's high-fiving people with his best yellow tie, and he's telling everybody, I'm the best.
How about the New York bred getting second, still there? Yeah. This is a good horse.
Marley's Freedom, I mean, this was not even close. Much the best here in the Ballerina. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Again, we're here with Mike Smith. As he just said, quote, I feel like I get young when I come back over here. And Mike, you truly do. Putting on a clinic here. Marley's Freedom, though, this is her 3rd win, 3rd start for Bob. And you rode her a while ago. She's turned into a monster now.
She's really gotten good with age. She's gotten better and better. She's figured some things out. Early on, she was still a bit green and just learning. But, man, I'll tell you what, these last 4 or 5 races have been very impressive.
And Mike, she is a filly that watching her, she seems to be most comfortable when she's outside. Were you nervous at all, considering it's a little bit better down towards the inside with that kind of affinity for being outside of horses with her?
I thought the rally is better today. It could be just the way that things are playing, but I was where I was, and I couldn't do nothing drastic to get there. And she was moving just really good. I knew when she'd switch over to right lead that she always has a punch. At least she has been, and she had it today.
Mike, you and Bob come in here and you always have success, whether it's at Belmont or here at Saratoga. I mean, do you guys like just look forward to coming eastward?
You know, it's just a blessing to ride for Bob and his owners, and he's got wonderful horses, and man, what a horseman. And I'm just glad that I'm part of the team. We seem to click together, and we come here and magic happens. Bob was awarded the red jacket this week, which was amazing, an award to receive. So he's proved that he deserves it today.
Mike, I'm sure you'll be having a red jacket here very shortly.
Oh, that would be incredible. Oh, that'd be a huge honor.
Well, Mike, congratulations with these 2 wins here. Well done here with Marley's Freedom.
Thank you. Thank the Lord. Thank you.
All right, guys. Mike Smith once again victorious. Marley's Freedom, she is awfully good.
That was a star performance. Should we go ahead and nominate Mike Smith for a red jacket?
You know, we're talking about the statements that are being made today, and one that's going to pain Andy to hear, but I'm just going to have to say it. These California horses are pretty darn good that are coming here and taking the cheese.
Marley's Freedom, much the best. Bob Baffert came in with 11 grade 1s at Saratoga in his career, make it 13 now. After Abel Tasman and Marley's Freedom go back-to-back in grade 1 action. What a performance from this 4-year-old filly. Used to be in the Bob Hess barn, now with Bob Baffert. She has not lost since she's come to his barn. Up next, it is the grade 1 4-go. And there is City of Light for Mike McCarthy. Meets leading rider. Irad Ortiz Jr. will be aboard. Will be cutting back in distance for this race and is the one to beat in the 4-go next.
Switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. He has won the Travers over American Fire.
Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial.
Alice. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders'
Back on Saratoga Live, and here's Blame. Stands for $12,500 at Claiborne. Of course, that tremendous moment in the Breeders' Cup Classic, holding off Zenyatta on an important anniversary for Claiborne. And one of his daughters getting the job done here in the Ballerina. Marley's Freedom, now 3 consecutive victories, all graded stakes. Her first grade 1. She has not lost since she has moved to Bob Baffert's barn.
Stepped up every time in class and in competition and has handled the challenge with ease, Greg.
So we're going to take a look at the Naira Bets Late Pick 5 follow along. I would think many still alive at this point, but we got a long way to go. Abel Tasman, odds-on favorite, survived a jockey's objection to win the personal ensign. Bob Baffert and Mike Smith, and Bob Baffert and Mike Smith do it again with Marley's Freedom in the Grade 1 Ballerina. Favorite, first 2 legs.
Bob Baffert and Mike Smith got anything in this race?
They do not. Yeah, the Grade 1 4 go next.
So the rest of us have a chance.
We know it will not be Bob Baffert. We're going to take a break in the action. Still to come, we're going to talk some more Travers. 2-year-old champion, Good Magic. And Catholic Boy returning from turf back to dirt. He's won at 1.25 miles on the grass. Can he do it on the main track? We'll be back.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. We have a little bit more time left in our show, so let's talk a little Run Happy Travers. That is a look at the field. The morning line odds. Meistermind was a scratch, will not compete. Good Magic, a 2-year-old champ. the one to beat, part of a strong tandem for Chad Brown, also sends out Gronkowski. You can use the NyraBets app to hit a trifecta in the Run Happy Travers today and earn a 10% winner's bonus. The app available in the App Store or for Android on NyraBets.com. What colors will that canoe be painted after today's Run Happy Travers? It is a wide open affair. Tom, what do you think?
I'm not going to get off tenfold, the 10 horse in there, but I do think it's a very good race. One of the things I'm interested in is how Gronkowski runs. This is a horse that a lot of times when you've trained over the grass your whole life and you go to the dirt, you end up getting a little choppy in how you go. You're not used to it, but he looks fantastic on the track. I think he's a major threat as well.
Our next show, we're back again early tomorrow, 3 Eastern time. Find us then. I'm the only one going with the filly in the race, huh?
You are indeed.
Wonder Gadut. She loves a 1.25 miles. She gets a weight break. Can she get it done? Trying to become the first filly since 1915 to do it. Bob Baffert, back-to-back grade 1s here on Run Happy Travers Day. Enjoy it. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.